I don't care what people think about this documentary if they don't watch it. Watch it. That's all I care about, is that you watch it.
Chifre na cabeça, algum óleo no corpo, tinha pé grande, uns olhos super regalados, vermelho.
I don't think there's a better, more well-documented recent case in the world. They captured one.
Criatura que estava ali no cantinho, acuada, com medo.
Some of the most compelling eyewitness testimony to a alien being.
There was like an entire family, and they all saw this object, and it was really big, shaped like a disc, zero noise.
A police chief saying, yeah, there was aliens.
The alien was alive in this bed right there. And so they came up, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, they came out there and they saw this cigar-shaped submarine or the size of a big school bus.
E ele desceu.
All the animals were going crazy. And he said he got out of the car and the smell was so overwhelming, like ammonia and sulfur. There was some sort of weird chemical acid on the grass. It was burning the grass.
I had forgotten that he had touched the craft,
Yes.
that he had a piece in his hand.
Yes, I could feel that anxiety in my stomach. Carlos de Souza, gone. Unreachable, 26 years gone.
Once they did the test on the bacteria, determined that this is nothing like they've seen in their entire careers.
It was a strain of a bacteria that they've seen, but not the way this was evolved and the way it was, nothing could stop it. It's the biggest, most significant development in the history of the phenomenon, because I challenge anyone out there to show me testimony from anyone, particularly a neurosurgeon.
An active neurosurgeon, not retired.
Not retired, who's putting his entire career on the line to say, I had face-to-face contact, telepathic communication for 3 to 4 minutes with an alien.
Hi, my name's Alex, and on February 22nd, 2022, I was working as a crew member on a TV show at Austin Studios in Austin, Texas. And in the early afternoon hours, we witnessed a craft that was spinning in a clockwise direction about 3,000 to 6,000 feet above the studio. It was horseshoe or crescent-shaped, white in color, and had a light corona around it. We watched this craft for about 5 minutes and noticed a white orb shoot southbound across the parking lot at a height of about 1,000 feet. While we tracked the orb, the craft disappeared. Never saw it again that day. 5 weeks later, on March 31st, 2022, I witnessed the craft in the same location at the same studio at a height of about 1,000 feet, and it was massive. It was about the size of a coach bus, spinning in the same clockwise direction with no decals, no windows, no visible signs of propulsion, moving in the same clockwise direction towards the horizon. I also witnessed this with 2 other crew members at the time and have had no explanation as to what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into today's video, I want to introduce an exclusive clip that we've been given courtesy of James Fox. This clip features Dr. Italo Venturelli, who was the neurosurgeon who actually telepathically communicated with this being as it was lying in the hospital bed. I also want to say that this was not abundantly clear in James's documentary, but many people have addressed this online afterwards, that Italo had in fact kind of changed his story, where initially he said he'd seen a video of the being, and now he says that he was in the room with the being. The reason for that, from what I understand, is that he did not want to thrust himself into the limelight. Many people working at that same hospital obviously felt the same by keeping their privacy and anonymity. They would remove themselves from any potential harm to their career or to their lives. After suffering a near-fatal heart attack and also losing his partner, earlier, Italo had a change of heart in that moment and decided to come clean on what exactly he saw. Now, he puts his reputation on the line as a neurosurgeon. He is someone you would trust to operate on your brain for 13 hours straight. And as we find out later in our interview, was actually fired due to his earlier comments prior to the release of this documentary. And they have since reinstated his position because the hospital couldn't function to its fullest capacity without him. So if you're thinking that he is not fit to be a doctor because of these claims, you are sorely mistaken. He is still a practicing brain surgeon. I will let the video play for itself in its original language to convey both his emphasis, his cadence, and his genuine message, after which the podcast will begin. Please enjoy this message from Dr. Italo Venturelli.
Meu nome é Italo Venturelli. Eu juro que o que eu vou dizer para vocês é verdade, nada mais do que a verdade. Sou médico há 46 anos e em 1996, no dia 20 de janeiro, eu fui chamado para ver um paciente, né? E quando eu fui ver, não era um ser do nosso planeta, né? Que fui chamado eventualmente para dar minha opinião sobre o caso e eu vi o caso sob o ponto de vista médico. Consciente, sem dor, sem sangramento, respirando bem, muito calmo, muito tranquilo, parecia uma criança de uns 7 anos, branquinho, não tinha mau cheiro, a cabecinha grande, mas em forma de gota, né? Boca pequenininha, uma das mãos estava dentro de um campo e outra para fora. O olho não era vermelho, estava lilás, também em forma de gota, e me olhou de uma maneira muito tranquila, não estava agitado, não estava agressivo, não estava com dor, e na minha opinião não estava com medo também. Na minha opinião, estava entendendo o que estava acontecendo ali. Um olhar muito bonito de ver, um olhar assim sem julgamento, né? 2 vezes ele olhou para mim, olhou para a janela, olhou para mim outra vez. Eu senti assim, eu fiquei próximo dele, né? 1,5 metro, assim, não toquei nele, mas eu fiquei próximo. E a maneira de olhar é uma maneira assim que ele parece que era uma inteligência maior do que a nossa, do que a humana, né? Que ele estava entendendo, apesar de ele estar assim numa situação de defesa, ele não estava com medo, ele estava entendendo o que estava acontecendo, né? Possivelmente deveria ter algum propósito, alguma coisa para estar fazendo o que ele estava fazendo. E a verdade é que eu sou testemunha ocular, eu vi o ser sim. Podem falar o que for, brincam, zombam, falam uma porção de coisas, mas eu vi ali, deitado na minha frente. É importante as pessoas saberem que não estamos falando de dinheiro, estamos falando de uma coisa que muda o conceito da humanidade, né? Que é um ser de um outro local. Eu fui lá, não fui procurar, eu fui lá por um acaso, ver um outro paciente e eu vi. Então eu acho importante as pessoas saberem que sim, quem fala que viu, quem viu espaçonave, viu, nós vimos mesmo. E não é fácil ficar aqui na frente da câmera falando sobre isso. Que perguntam, parece que a gente está mentindo, você tem que insistir. Já jurei que vi mesmo e vi, né? Que os seres mais novos acreditem que existe sim.
Boom, this feels familiar.
It does.
It's almost a year. It's been almost exactly, actually, a year. Actually, January would make it a year since you graced us with your presence here in the skiff. James Fox, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. Before we start,
Yep.
I have to say one thing. This will be a first. Un chasseur sachant chasser sans son chien faisait sécher ses chaussettes sur une sous-sèche. Doom!
Okay. How long have you been rehearsing this, and how long have you been holding it from me?
Oh, 20 years.
That's crazy. Crazy French tongue twister for all of you that thought your the video was glitching. Yeah, I didn't actually. We went out to dinner last night, and I didn't realize how good your French is.
Oh, thank you.
Very good. Very Parisian.
Very Parisian, yes.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time in
I lived in Paris, yeah.
Yeah, how long?
2 years.
Wow, and you picked all that up in 2 years. That's pretty good.
Well, I really immersed myself, and I had a roommate who didn't speak a stitch of English, which was incredibly frustrating. His name was André Laviec. And first 3 to 5 months, particularly when we were arguing over something, I was so frustrated because I was like, I couldn't communicate with this guy, and English wasn't on the table at all.
Whoa.
But after 5-6 months, it really, and plus I was going to school.
Yeah.
And so that really helped. And I wanted to learn it.
I like that you folded and he didn't. He's like, this is Paris. I will not speak English.
We got into an argument. Okay. I like chocolate. I'm a huge chocolate fan. As you noticed last night, I got the chocolate cake. I love chocolate. And he's like, il faut mettre un peu de sel au-dessous et ça fait sortir le vrai goût.
Yeah.
So you have to put salt on your chocolate.
With dark chocolate, maybe, yeah.
It brings out, but I didn't want salt. This is like years ago. Nobody put salt on their chocolate. I was like, no, I don't want salt on it. He goes, well, then you cannot have, So we got this argument. So every time I see chocolate with salt on top of it, I think of this guy, Andre Laviac, and he's like, well, fine, you're not, and he take his.
So stupid.
So stupid.
Amazing.
Anyway.
Speaking of chocolate, let's segue to aliens.
Yes, sir.
You, sir, have just released the next phase of Moment of Contact by the time this airs.
Yes.
And which is, for me, possibly the most convincing case of not only crash retrieval, but of being interaction that I've ever heard. It is, I will say with confidence, I'm not one to sling around, I believe or I don't believe. I am at as near 100% conviction that this is true as I can possibly be, especially after this latest iteration. And it is an update to the previous Moment of Contact. What's the full title?
It's Moment of Contact and then : New Revelations of Alien Encounters.
Yeah. Unbelievable, unprecedented interviews with, for anyone out there thinking, it's just some townsfolk and a farmer and no. And by the way, I believe farmers too.
Yeah, of course.
No slight to farmers. Exactly. I actually believe them a lot more than most people.
Yeah.
But we're talking pathologists. We're talking neurosurgeons who are head of multiple hospitals. We're talking police chiefs. We're talking really the most credible people that a community could produce.
Absolutely.
And all of this happened almost exactly 30 years ago.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I kind of like to just back up a moment here because,
sure.
I think it's important for people to realize, like, I didn't just believe it because I heard like, a UFO crash and aliens. In fact, it was quite the opposite. When I heard about this case, I was working on my second UFO documentary. Turned out to be Out of the Blue. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I heard about it through my partner that we were producing Out of the Blue with. And he's like, oh, mate, we got to look into this crash case in Brazil, and these live aliens walking through the town. And I just...
Sounds absurd.
I couldn't have dismissed it faster. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, yeah, you're nuts. I'm not going to spend 1 second looking into that absolute garbage of a case.
Yeah.
And I remember probably... I made Out of the Blue, okay? Didn't look into it. Refused to read one thing about it. That Out of the Blue came out. Then I made another documentary, I Know What I Saw, which took me probably 3 or 4 years. And that was a 2-hour special for the History Channel. And at the end of that, I got invited to give a presentation in Brazil on the film I'd done, I Know What I Saw. And a really good friend of mine who's been very influential behind the scenes and helping me get distribution and stuff like that. He never wanted credit, never wanted a penny. His name was Jeff Sagansky, and I had a lot of respect for him, very high up on the entertainment industry food chain. And he's like, oh, James, you're going to Brazil. And this is years later.
Yep. You're
going to Brazil. Oh, you got to look into that UFO crash case with live aliens in Varginha. And I thought,
he was persistent.
God, no, this is another guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So my other partner was
this is your second sign.
This is a second. So he tells me, and I was like, oh, God, not this case. But I had so much respect for him, and he was so helpful and influential that I just said, yeah, Jeff, sure, yeah, I'll definitely look into that for you. Absolutely, yeah, for sure. All right, you take care. Goodbye. Click. Yeah, I'm not going to waste 1 second on that ridiculous case.
Jeff changed your life.
I just really want people to understand like how opposed to this case I was. And I was making UFO documentaries. Like I totally, completely respect any skepticism. All I ask is that the people suspend judgment.
Absolutely.
And just listen to the firsthand eyewitness testimony because it's riveting.
In your defense, somebody saying crash saucer, crash craft, beings running around town, most people would have the same reaction. You weren't confronted with the amount of evidence that you've compiled.
Yeah.
When, this was brought to your attention. Nobody came up to you and said, Well, there's a head neurosurgeon that actually will testify that he looked at the live being in the eyes for several minutes and had telepathic communication with him. You weren't told, oh, there's a pathologist that once they did the test on the bacteria determined that this is nothing like they've seen in their entire careers. And these guys have been working for 45 years as professional pathologists and have done a million biological tests and have never seen anything. This isn't, you weren't confronted with a police chief saying, yeah, there was aliens. This was all prior to that. So I think you're forgiven, and I think most people would have felt the same way. But things have changed. You've been to Brazil over 15 times. Well, how many times?
By the time this airs,
Yeah.
I would have been there 3 times this year alone.
3 times. So you've been going for 15 years, what I meant to
Yes,
say.
15, 16 years. Yeah, and I going back and forth. And going there, not believing it.
Yeah.
In fact, quite the contrary. I reluctantly, after meeting with Stanton Friedman, who just so happened to be in the same place I was, invited to the same conference I was on my first time. And I was like,
He was high conviction on it too.
He's like, oh, James, because somehow it came up at the conference, and we were in a place called Peruíbe to the south of Sao Paulo. I think it was on the coast. In fact, I know it was on the coast. And he's like, oh, yeah, you heard about the case? I was like, oh, God. I started rolling my eyes, and I was like, yeah, I've heard about it, but, come on, live aliens walking. And then Stanton's like, no, man, you should look into that. And Stanton is the reason why him and a handful of others that, Kevin Randall and Don Schmidt.
I mean, John Mack.
Well, that we know about.
Case, yeah.
Well, of course, yeah. But I was just saying that I had so much respect for him because of him. We're talking about Roswell, right?
Absolutely.
Kevin Randall and Don Schmidt,
right,
and a handful of others. So I was like, okay, I'll take a look. I'll take a look. And I hooked up with a guy, Marco Leal, who deserves colossal amount of credit. And he was kind of into it early on. I think maybe he'd been at it for 6 years when we met. And there was other researchers that came before me, Claudio Covo, A.J. Javard, Ubarajada Rodriguez, Paccaccini, Marco Petit. Those guys deserve credit, really. But there was, I think it was only one article when it happened in, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, written by one guy, and it was like basically stinky aliens get the attention of the town in a place in Brazil, and it was somewhat dismissive, but that was it. It was the only news coverage it got in America. That one little article in the Wall Street Journal in 1996.
Yeah.
That was it. So Americans didn't hear about it, even though the Americans, and I didn't realize the Americans were even involved with the case until like over a decade.
Yeah, they kept a really tight lid.
They almost got away with it.
They almost got away with it.
They did.
That's so crazy. So today, what I'd like to go through with you, thank you for that, for bringing us all up to date. There are several new pieces of information, testimony, and not just anecdotal evidence, but actual evidence of this being completely an anomalous event.
Yeah.
That features many, anomalies within it.
Yes.
And so what we're going to do today is I'd like to go through, basically, I watched the documentary and I took all my notes, and I'd like to go through certain parts for you to maybe go into a little bit more detail. And because of cutting, we couldn't get into those in the film. But also I want to spend a large part of this time going through the case of Marco Chiereze and his autopsy report, which I've been provided.
Yeah.
I have a copy of the autopsy report, which we've had translated. And for those of you who do not know, Mr. Chiereze was in the military, and he was the person who took this being in his arms and brought him into the hospital, and then developed a severe bacteriological viral illness that killed him within weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a complete mystery.
Yep.
Until now. Now we kind of have a lot more evidence about that. So I think it's just a really important case.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Giannini, who the founder of IPD, who did the analysis back in 1996. And thank you, Dr. Armando, for having the courage to come forward on camera for this latest cut and put your necks out for the rest of us, because these people have everything to lose, nothing to gain, lifelong reputations in their field. And essentially, particularly Dr. Janine is coming forward and saying, I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it since. And I've done thousands and thousands of analysis, forensic pathologists for decades.
And I want to get to that because there's also Dr. Furtado.
Yes.
The cardiologist.
Oh, yeah. Well, that
who Marco went to go see right at the beginning because he had problems. This was this was mentioned that Marco came clean to this doctor because he's like,
oh yeah. So sorry. Yes,
I need you to save my life, because essentially he was ill and he spilled the beans in hopes that it would help him find some type of cure with his illness and what was going on with him.
So So are we talking specifically about Marco Chiereze right now? Because okay, I was going to say what led us to the other guy, but yeah, we can laser focus on that.
Let's start a little bit before that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I want to start with Carlos de Souza.
Okay.
Carlos, who was the original crash witness that you featured in the first moment of contact.
Yes.
Has an incredible emotional reaction to the crash site where he literally falls to his knees and cries.
Yeah.
Just a startling piece of footage watching that.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you guys caught that on video. That was just such a powerful moment. And Carlos is a geography professor.
Yeah.
So, he's not, and
an ultralight pilot.
And yeah, absolutely. So, he's got a keen eye. He's a credible witness. And, you were able to talk to him and bring him to the crash site. Can you tell me what it was like watching him just start running and being, telling you it's here, aquí. He's like, it's here. That was just such an emotional piece.
Well, it was really initially quite frustrating because Marco Leal had found, so I'm going to back up for a minute. I did a film called The Phenomenon, and in The Phenomenon, I worked for 5 or 6 years, maybe a little longer, on the Varginha case, and I was introducing Rua. I did a bunch of cases around the world, one in Australia, one in Africa, just cases scattered across the world. And one of the cases I was going to cover in the film was Varginha. But at the end of the day, I got towards the end of The Phenomenon and I just thought, this really doesn't fit. And I'm missing critical witnesses. We're missing the crash witness who came forward one time and then vanished for 26 years. There was just other aspects of the story. And I decided to delete it out of the film, which was a very painful day. I call it killing your darlings. And I remember the very day when in the timeline and all the work I'd done and all the, transcribe, the subtitle, everything, just click, boom, gone. And Marco was devastated. He's like, we've been working on this for so long. I can't believe you did that. I was like, Marco, there's more witnesses we got to find. I can't squeeze it in here. It's not going to work. We're going to make a film on this case. But we got to go and find these witnesses. We got to find the crash witnesses. We got to find, Carlos de Souza and many others. And so I said, we're gonna put a laser-like focus on this case, and we're gonna make a movie just about this case because it warrants it. Marco, with the help of other Brazilian researchers, and they found Carlos de Souza and managed to get him to consider coming forward, and then we met with him. We flew there, I think it was in 2021, with a camera crew. We're going to be there for a month. And he agreed to come meet with us in Sao Paulo, which he did. And then we had FaceTime with him. And, hey, man, can we take you back for the first time in 26, 27 years, whatever it's been, to the crash site?
Whoa. You
hadn't been there since 96. Would you do, and he agrees to do it. So we go off to the site. And we're driving around aimlessly and Mailini Farm, just outside Varginha, and he can't find the bloody crash site. And we were looking all over. In the movie, it's condensed to just a few minutes. I don't know, could have been an hour, could have been 2 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, how does this guy not know where the bloody crash site is? It's been over a quarter of a century. And I'm thinking this movie's not off to a good start. We hadn't gotten military acts and these other people, because you find a witness. And just because you find the witnesses, getting them to come forward on camera, even anonymously, is nearly impossible. I can't even tell you, Marco Leal deserves so much credit. He would massage contacts with us for 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years. Sousa gets out there. He can't find it. Like he doesn't recognize anything. The topography had changed, you know? So I'm thinking to myself, like, man, Jesus, this is terrible. So then I had a drone, and he kept saying there's a white house. And I said, how you know? I know there's one aspect of this. There was a small white house. I took the drone up in the sky, and I remember seeing this tiny little roof off in the distance. Some trees had grown. I guess you couldn't see it from where we were. And I was like, okay, this could be it. And we were running down to that spot. And I remember my cameraman, he was an older guy, Dave West. He's amazing. But he was like, slow down, you know, like you got to slow down. I can't be. I said, Dave, if you can't, you know, this is happening. This is unraveling as it's unraveling, and you're going to have to capture the moment or not. Like, and so we're all running, and we're just chasing after him because he's
like, stop the car. You see it like panic in his eyes. He's like, stop driving now.
Yes.
It's here.
And he's running down to the spot, and you could just see like it's all happening.
Connecting.
He's reliving everything. He's looking around. I mean, you could just see in his face and tears flowing down his face, and it's a very dramatic moment in the movie. And I was extremely grateful that it wasn't a reenactment, man. We captured it as it unraveled, and it was just amazing. But I tell you, 2 hours prior, I was thinking the whole time, like, shit, this is not going well.
Yeah. So I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah.
It was amazing, even to see him have a branch, because the craft that crashed there was like a tube-like structure, was like some cigar-like, you know, and, you know, with a breach in the hull, and it was like, it was going down, and he kind of did this, and then he went like this, and I'm like, because when you're explaining with your hand, the UFO was here, and then it went here, you don't really visualize it, but when he had the stick, and he went like this, and I was like, whoa, that must be so wild to witness.
I have that stick in my office.
Really?
In my edit room. I look at it every day.
Yeah.
I do. And it even had like a torn bit at the backside,
right.
which is exactly what the craft he described. Everyone who saw the craft, either struggling in the sky, said that it had a tear in the back of it, and it had like a white vapor smoke coming out.
The farmers that live nearby.
Yeah. Enrico and Oralini.
Yeah.
The Fretas.
They also said there was a breach in the back.
Yes, and they said that they wouldn't have heard it or seen it had it not been for the animals on their farm going
crazy. The cows,
crazy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, all the animals were going crazy. And so they came up, I don't know, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they came out there and they saw this cigar-shaped submarine, or the size of a big school bus, all like aluminum cigar, aluminum with a gash in the back with white vapor, not like a smoke from a fire. They described it as a white vapor coming out the back. And she was like, I was just waiting for it to hit the ground. Like it was struggling to stay in the air.
Unbelievable.
Then we have a new witness. And for the first time in this cut, we got maps, Google Maps, and we did, you know, graphics of like, okay, this is where this is Furtado, this is the Orlina, this is where the actual thing crashed according to Carlos, and it all made perfect sense.
Yeah, of course.
It was right there. It's like,
what a beautiful visualization for anyone trying to piece that together, because if you've not been, you have no idea.
No, and you don't know if they're going to all align. You don't know at the time. It's like when we got the map, it's like, oh my Lord.
You guys did that in the first one with the sort of suburb of, you know, the town.
Encounter.
Yeah, the encounter, where we had the different blockades, and we had, you know, where the girls saw the being. And but yeah, to see it all map out like that, you're like, wow, that's exactly where the witnesses would be at that angle. And so, yeah, that was great.
And we don't have to get into this now, but we also make the connection for the first time. We had featured, which in my opinion is one of the better night shots of a disc craft. I
want to get to that.
Sorry,
for me, I mean, I was like, the UFO nerd in me is like, dude, that's authentic. It lines up with, you know, all the stories you hear from, was it Chuck Clark?
I mean, Chuck Clark talked about, he had a copy of a disc, but
but it lines up with what the stories that you hear about what he saw, which is like this orange glowing thing. If you look at also, there's the guy in Mexico who Carlos Diaz.
Yeah, Carlos Diaz. Yeah,
you know, his photos line up with that, and there's several others that really I think even Bob Lazar's case, when they went out to S4 on those few nights, it's kind of the same thing, this glowing molten thing, right?
It's like the skin is alive.
Yeah. Like it's roiling, dynamic.
Yes, like phosphorus on a beach. The whole thing is just glowing like it's all energy source or something.
So, we have Carlos de Souza, is it pronounced, or de Souza? Could be
Carlos
either.
de Souza. I've heard it pronounced.
Okay.
Carlos de Souza.
All right. We have him then after that going to a gas station for coffee and being accosted by gentlemen who told him basically, you're not to talk about this and you're to shut up, which is par for the course when it comes to the UFO stuff, but exactly what happened to like absolutely everybody you've talked to in that movie as well. They all say the exact same thing, whether it was from the Americans or whether it was from, the Brazilian military.
Yeah.
So that happens. Now,
but before, so when Carlos was driving on the freeway early in the morning to go ultralight flying, he saw in the sky, it was early in the morning, 4:35 a.m., something like this. He saw that cigar-shaped craft exactly like the other witnesses described, and he was like, what? And he was thinking like maybe some sort of experimental craft or some secret military thing. He didn't know what it was, but he was like, clearly those guys
are in trouble.
They're in trouble and it's going down.
Pilot to pilot, he was like...
Yeah, so he got off the freeway and he saw it just crash into the ground, and he came up there and he was thinking, I'm going to help the pilots. He never once thought extraterrestrial. He never thought UFO. He was just like, I got to help. And he arrived at the scene, and he said there was a half a piece of the cigar-shaped craft, about half the size of a large school bus, intact. And then the other half was scattered over a very large area, bigger than a football field, of small sort of like aluminum pieces of different shapes, torn. And he said he got out of the car and the smell was so overwhelming, of ammonia and sulfur. Like he said, he grabbed his shirt and put it over his face. He just couldn't believe how strong his eyes were watering. There was some sort of weird chemical acid on the grass. It was burning the grass. And he picked up one of these little pieces. He's just scratching his head. He's so baffled. And he said he held it in his hands. And he said it was like so light that he couldn't really feel it in his hands. And he could crumple it up. And then when he let it go, it would reform into the shape that it was in when he picked it up. And this was happening, and he's just he's baffled of this. What is this? And that's when military trucks from the base EZA had come in from the opposite direction that he arrived, and they threatened him at gunpoint to leave. And that at which point he got in his car, he left, and then 10, 15 minutes later, while he stopped just to gather himself at a gas station cafe, and he was having a coffee, and that's when these men rolled up in suits and threatened him. Yeah.
I had forgotten that he had touched the craft, that he had a piece in his hand.
Yes.
And resembles a lot of, the Roswell lore as well about the memory metal or whatever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And then the smell, obviously, the tying, the string that ties this all together is this overwhelming smell of ammonia and sulfur, which is also comically the only thing that made it to this article in the United States about the stinky aliens.
I'm going to say one more thing, and this is something that I've been doing recently, is I'm asking all the witnesses, the firsthand witnesses, people like Carlos and Dr. Italo, which we'll get to later, if they're willing to take a public lie detector test, and they're all immediately, without a moment's hesitation, yes.
Yeah.
Put my right hand on a Bible, I will, yes.
And if there's anybody else watching this that, obviously this might be translated into many different languages on YouTube. They do that automatically now. And so if there's anyone out there in Varginha who has any more information about any of this, I think it's good to put it at the top of the episode.
Can I give you my Proton, text it to you, and
Sure.
you can put it across the screen?
Absolutely.
To reach out to us?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Feel free to reach out to James if you have any, information on this that you think could aid in his research and into the investigation of what happened.
Particularly on the American side.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're over here and you have any information about it, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We'll get to that.
Really want to hear from you.
Yeah, because that ties everything together.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that FOIA request as well. So then after this happens, this military blockade starts happening around town.
Yeah.
And this is a town that's not familiar with this type of activity.
It's about a week later.
Yeah. And, is it a week later?
Several days later, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so the crash retrieval happened.
Yeah.
Whoa. I
And-
didn't realize it was that long after. I thought it was immediately.
No, not immediately. It was several days. Yeah. And I know it's a head scratcher because, there's
Does that mean these aliens were running around for a few days?
there's all this speculation as to how they got from that location to town. And there's some waterways. When we looked at overhead, there's some waterways, so possibility of waterways that would lead to where they were spotted in town.
Whoa.
But again, this is speculation.
Sure.
So
yeah, of course. But all you can do is
some people say there was a pod, an escape pod. That's one, theory. Nobody really knows. And I talked to some of the most leading researchers in Brazil that have been scratching their heads on this case. Were there other crashes during that time? I don't think anyone has a definitive answer to that.
Yeah.
But the most plausible, according to everyone that I've talked to, is that they managed to get their way, and they were hiding out
by the water, through the
waterways. Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's speculation.
It is speculation, obviously, but also, because later on we'll encounter this family, an entire family, by the way, who's got nothing to gain, everything to lose, that came out and said, there was this disc that was spinning.
Didn't want to go on camera.
No, they were so excited to talk about it finally. Yeah. And then other people in town who also admitted to the same thing, that there was this reconnaissance effort that everybody said the same thing. It looked like it was looking for something. Mm-hmm. And that's just like something that I suppose you'd have to experience to understand. Because I'm like, how could you determine? But if you look at the pattern something's doing, you're like, it's looking for something. And
not only that, but this is something else that just like, I got goosebumps just thinking about it. Because when we were at their house, I had flown the drone up prior to that really high to get a really good, I put the camera straight down. I really want to get a lay of the land. I want to see where the creature was allegedly captured by Eric Lopes and Marco Chiereze. I want to see where the girls encountered the creature, like, in proximity to where it was captured. And in one shot, let's just say, okay, for several block area, you got like this. So the girls see it here, captured here, just a few blocks away. And then 5 blocks away is the family that we interviewed. The entire family, the mother, the husband, the daughter, they were right here. And that craft was flying exactly over the area where all this went down.
So
that was like...
So whatever your drone was seeing was what the craft was seeing, essentially.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but it was like, oh my God, it makes perfectly good sense. If there was a search and rescue effort, I know it sounds crazy, but if there was an extraterrestrial or whatever search and rescue effort, that's exactly where it would have been.
Yep. And I think at this point, with the amount of evidence you brought forward, it's safe to assume that is a possibility.
Extreme possibility.
Yep.
And that's getting to that video footage that you and I could talk about a little later.
Yes, sir.
That's impressive.
It really is. So this military blockade happens a week later, which is wild. This town smells. The smell is being carried out. It's probably being talked about by everyone. So at which point everyone's pretty on board that something weird is happening. In fact, the news crew then gets alerted about, hey, maybe we should investigate this blockade.
First time that we have all 3 reporters that were there going on camera for me.
Yep.
I'd heard about, I'd gotten 1, nay, but not the 2 others. And they went on camera for the first time basically saying that they were making inquiries. They were stopped at the military blockade, but the other 2 had gone to Eza military base and were questioning. And they said to the news reporters, you ask one more question and you're going to jail.
Yeah. What if you ask one more question?
Their
that's
reporters are doing their job.
Yep.
And they went on camera and said, yeah, they said, one more question, you're going to jail.
And that's, like you said, it's
That's
never happened
crazy.
before. It's never happened
No.
after.
No.
It was serious. And they kept saying, national security. And he's trying to ask just one question. And they were threatened to be.
Weather balloons are not national security.
Yeah.
And neither is the Gene. There was some effort to like ride off what the girls had seen at some gentleman in town, which I've seen him multiple times. He's got a birth defect, and they're like, "Oh, it's Majin or something like this." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so absurd that everyone's seen him, everyone knows him, And they just try to, they were just throwing whatever they could against the wall to see what would stick, and of course, nothing. And here we are, almost 30 years later.
Yeah, the skeptics of this case after watching and reading through the autopsy report and hearing the witness testimonies, the skeptics of this case look more insane to me than any testimony I've ever heard about any alien being. This is by far one-sided here. Like, I mean, if anybody's skeptical, I'm skeptical of them and their motives now.
Yeah.
Because if you're coming up to me after watching this, reading through the documents and looking at all of the evidence that you've brought forward over the last 15 years, if you're going to sit here and tell me that this didn't happen, I'm skeptical that you're probably part of the cover-up. That's where I'm at with this case now.
Yeah,
and I don't say that lightly.
You'd have to be like...
No, you'd have to be absolutely in on a cover-up.
Chief of police, 2 forensic pathologists, head neurosurgeon, guy that ran 3 different hospitals in the area, the head neurosurgeon
who's still active,
working there today.
Yeah. He's risking everything.
He has everything to lose and nothing to gain by coming forward. It's like, plus the chief of police, plus the military actually drove it, plus the 3 girls that came face to face with it in broad daylight, 10 feet away.
It's overwhelming.
The guy that took the X-rays. I mean, there was so much evidence, so much compelling firsthand eyewitness testimony. Then you got the video of a craft matching the description in and around. Oh yeah, it's a little to the south, but at the same year, it's just, oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean,
incredibly.
How many millions did everybody get paid to be on camera for this documentary, James? That's what we all really want to know.
I know, right?
Especially the neurosurgeon. Yeah. Can you imagine?
I tell people
he's a neurosurgeon. He makes enough money.
I could give you an hour-long story behind every interview and how it came about and how difficult it was to obtain. And people are terrified all these years later still, you know. But there are power in numbers, and I encourage people to come forward and join this movement.
Let's talk about Valkyria, Liliane, and Katia.
Yes.
The 3 girls who witnessed this being.
Yes.
You covered this in the first one. We revisit in the second one, probably some of the most compelling eyewitness testimony to a non-human alien being, we can say. You know, you spent a lot of time with them. Mm-hmm. You spent time with their mother as well.
Marta?
Yeah, Marta, who, you know, firmly...
there was anyway, come to me a second. Marta was the sister of the deceased military officer.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Her name will come to me. I love her very much. I was just with her just a few months ago.
But she, you know, firmly refused to...
accept a bribe.
Accept a bribe from American gentlemen that said, hey, look, we can give you this money and you can just go live a life. All we ask is that you just go without asking questions. And she's like, not if it means calling my daughters here liars.
Yeah. So she said that there were, I think it was 3 guys, 2 in suits that remained silent. The third one that spoke Portuguese with a heavy accent, called them foreigners, offered American dollars, a briefcase filled that they could leave the country, live out their life. All she had to do was get her daughter to say they were lying. It was some kind of deranged animal or dog or something like that, and she refused to accept. And Louisa is her name, and she's to this day, you know, struggles financially, and she was like, there's no amount of money that's you're gonna give me that's gonna make me call my own daughters liars. Leave my house or I'm calling the police.
Yep.
In fact, she was one of the first people after decades of hearing these so-called men in black, and I would touch on it maybe lightly, a little here and a little there. I went all in on her. I was like, I looked her in the eye. This woman's telling the truth.
And there's so many others that had those encounters. In fact, a lot of people in town up and left.
Oh, I mean, Paccaccini disappeared for the better part of 20 years.
Yeah.
Paccaccini was one of the lead researchers.
Yeah.
And if his account, and he's willing to take a lie detector test with his right hand on a Bible, he's seen the video of the creature. So Paccaccini was one of the lead researchers. Claudio Covo, Paccaccini, Ubadajada Rodriguez, Marco Betti, AJ Javard, but primarily Paccaccini and Ubadajada. They were really deep in it. And Ubadajada Rodriguez, who was a very well-known lawyer in the state, I think it's Minas Gerais, the state of Minas Gerais in Varginha. But in any case, Paccaccini, according to, you know, I just spoke to him. He's working with us now. He said that he was fired at. He was under a lot of pressure. Ubadajara kind of just went quiet. Claudio Covo died. AJ Javard died. Marco Petit still talks about it, but and of course Marco Leal is working nonstop. But according to Paccaccini, he was shot at, he was threatened, and he disappeared for the bet. He was like, I just need to let everything cool off. He went and lived with his mother for I think 20 years.
Yeah.
And now he's getting back involved with the case again.
But even a lot of civilians were just like up and moved, who've lived there their whole lives. Like you mentioned in the first documentary, there was like their neighbors were like, yeah, you just up and left. And there was
People just went quiet.
Yeah, people just went quiet, and I'm sure people accepted some bribes. And
we had something really weird happen to us while we were there as well, which I can go into detail if you want. But,
well, let's go.
Well, so one thing that I've learned in this field is that when you sometimes when you really you obviously want to get a witness on camera, don't talk about going on camera at first. Just say, hey, you know what? Can we just meet? Can I get you a coffee? Can we have dinner? Meet with them, look them in the eyes, get to know each other. There's nothing like FaceTime, right? And get to know each other a little bit. And then if that individual decides or is contemplating on going on camera, maybe under the right conditions, or maybe you hide their face, whatever. Don't wait. Don't wait 1 day. Don't wait 1 hour. Like if they're willing to do it, go. And I'll tell you, with Military X, it was like, he literally said to me early on, there's all the money in the world, I'm never going to come forward. So, hey, I understand. Look, can we just get together? We got together, FaceTime, had an incredible time. We talked about family relationships. I talked about my father with his struggle with multiple sclerosis, just kind of getting to know each other. He talked about his wife and becoming a dad and all these, things, kind of get to know each other a little bit. And then we kind of got into his involvement in an official capacity for the military, driving the creature, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
seen it in the hospital, all this stuff.
Yeah, seeing the feet.
Right, exactly. And yeah, maybe more. But he started to waver, like maybe he would meet with us and maybe under the right circumstance he would go on camera. And let's just say it was a Sunday. And I said to Marco, and he was like, well, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. And I said, how about right now? Well, I don't know. Marco and I didn't even I don't even think I brushed my teeth. I said, we're getting in the car and we're going right now. Cause I know I've been here before.
Yeah, this is gone.
So we go. Anyway, we ended up getting him on camera from the back, disguised as a voice, and I think it was like the next day or maybe the day after, we were going to meet with a gentleman that was also involved in the transportation. Or he went out from military base. He went to one of the hospitals, allegedly had shot some video, and we were going to make an introduction to that individual. I think it was the next day or the day after. And Marco was going to pose as the cousin of Military X. I was not going to be invited, but hey, whatever. We'll take what we can get. They got a phone call. Well, so Military X got a phone call, and it was from the base, and they said, hey, how you doing, so-and-so? And yeah, family doing good? Oh, good. You still living at this address? Excellent. Okay, good. Hey, there's an American filmmaker poking around, and we had just gotten him on camera. There's an American filmmaker poking around. By chance meet with him? Okay, good. Yeah, excellent. Well, listen, you take care, and glad the family's doing well. Happy to hear you're still living at the same address. You take care now.
Wow.
And then summoned the individual that we were going to meet into the base. So that individual that we were going to meet with the next day, my point is this. Had I waited till Tuesday or Wednesday, we would have never got that interview.
No, you guys were chasing the same leads.
We were chasing, and had I had 24 more hours, we probably would have seen the footage. Dude, you have no idea. Like, it's like a bar of soap in the bathtub. You grab it. And I say to anybody out there who's feeling frustrated because they want to see the footage, there's nobody on the planet Earth that wants that more than I do. And there's nothing that I'm not trying to get my hands on it. And I just feel like at this point, if anybody's out there in possession of this footage, post it anonymously, put it out there for free. I don't care who it comes from, where it comes from. Like, well, of course I don't want it to be fake, but
yeah. Speaking of which, there is a video circulating that claims to be
Yeah, everything I've seen.
The
is
real
fake.
being, that's completely fake. Do not send James that footage.
Yeah, I will. What I would do is, if I get the video for free, I'm going to give it away for free. I'm not going to charge anything for it. If I have to purchase the video to recoup, to pay whoever back, I would figure that out. But I would give it away for free. Okay, I'm not trying to make money on this video.
Yeah,
I'd like the world to see it. I think the world should see it.
Yep.
I would have all the firsthand eyewitnesses take a look at it first. Hey, is this what you saw? Does this look real? Do we know the provenance of this? Like, that would do the best one can, right?
Yeah, and it's out there.
And there are multiple videos
and
out
photos.
there. And the reason why I know that is because I've talked to people that have seen it, the photographs. I actually talked to the chief of police, Marco Chiereze, and I went and doorstepped him not too long ago. And he admits on camera, he's like, oh yeah, there are multiple photos. Because, the fire department is also part of the military. The police department is also part of the military.
Yeah.
My understanding is they took photos.
They captured one.
Took photos. They captured one. The doctors in both hospitals, Humanitas and Regional Hospital, took video. They had cameras. For instance, there was specific surgery that they would do, brain surgery, and they would videotape these procedures.
Yeah.
So the doctors had cameras readily available at the hospitals to record various procedures. They also had resources to have that. Then the military shot video.
Mm-hmm.
People so the military got video. I'm sure the Americans got video. The fire department, the police department, and the doctors all got photos and/or videos. How do I know that? Because I've talked to people that have seen it, multiple different sources, civilians, doctors, military that have seen the videos. So we know there's at least 5 different sources of video and photographic evidence of this. It's just a matter of us getting our sticky little fingers on it.
Can you imagine this happening in today's day and age?
Oh, yeah. I know.
That's disclosure.
Yeah, I know.
You thought about that?
Of course.
If this happened since the iPhone came out, this is disclosure.
I know. Believe me, I know.
But the further we get into technology, there's this one pocket, because now we're getting into AI stuff. And so, if another one does happen, obviously the biggest argument is going to be it's all AI generated, right?
Of course.
Okay.
But but what can you do?
Yeah. But this is on film.
Yeah, well,
this would be on video and
photograph,
digital or photograph would be filmed.
Yeah.
So the fire brigade ends up capturing the first being,
yes,
allegedly, right, with this net, and there was even a witness to this, and he kind of saw it from afar, and they had something, and they told him it's nothing to worry about, it's just an animal. They've captured a small animal. And he says that animal screamed like a child.
Like a little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting because and even Marco Chiereze was involved in the capture. Nobody knew what this creature was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody was like calling it, alien in the sense that it was foreign, right?
Yeah. It was a creature.
A creature. Like, people were even throwing rocks at it. Like, they were scared of it. Like, what is this thing? Some people thought it was a devil, because it had these red eyes. But people didn't think, like, as far as I could tell, no one was like, oh yeah, this was an extraterrestrial. Nope, nobody said that.
Yeah. Or ultra-terrestrial. It's an ultra-terrestrial.
Yeah. Nobody said that. They didn't know what the hell it was.
Yeah. And
I'd heard stories of people throwing rocks at it on the outskirts of town and going into this forest. They were scared of it and throwing rocks at it. And that's when the earlier that day is when the fire department captured it with a net.
Yeah.
And that's according to some of the witnesses that went on camera back in 96, said that it cried like a little baby when it was in captivity. Yeah.
So sad.
But there are up to, and I don't know for sure because we only focused on 2 because we only had really good, compelling eyewitnesses on that, but there are possibly up to 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Up to 5 beings. But for in this documentary, we addressed, I think, 3 of them, right? 1 alive, 1 dead, then the 3rd one kind of missing at one point,
Well, that's
right?
what the police
chief.
He saw a creature under a net or under a blanket or a canvas of sorts. And then he talked about the military activity that was going on. As he said, he saw more brass than he's ever seen in his career there. And he said rumor had it that 1 alive captured, stayed alive, 1 dead, and then 1 got away.
Yeah.
something like that.
And that was
what he said.
Pedro Luis Aguiar, the retired police chief.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we doorstepped him. We were trying to get to him for years.
He did not want to talk prior to that.
He would be like, talk a little bit, and then we'll do a meeting, maybe I'll go on camera. And then he kept like disappearing and not returning our calls. And we'd show up at his house, knock on his door. This went on for years. And we almost got to him on the first round. And then he was like, because he was like, okay, you can come by my house, give us the address. And then he would just stop returning our calls. And this went on for several years. And then finally, just recently, a few months ago, we went, it's funny, actually. We were going from Sao Paulo up to Varginha, which is about a 6-hour drive, depending on how many times you stop or whatever. And on the way there, we took a slight deviation. We were going to stop off at his house. And I think it was maybe like 5:30 or something. We were a little bit hungry, and we had a mission. Our mission was to go to his house and then get to Varginha. But for some reason, I was like, hey, let's stop. There's this little pizza joint. And we stopped there. I was going to get a quick slice of pizza. And I ended up meeting, the owner was like, oh, where are you guys from? And start talking. He was speaking Portuguese, but yeah, translator. And he was like, I'm going to order a big pizza. Come on, you guys are having a glass of wine. You're going to stick around, And so reluctantly, we had dinner there, and it took about, at least 60, possibly 90 minutes. So now we're arriving later than we anticipated. And there were half the crew were like, oh gosh, we had a mission. We shouldn't have decided. As it turned out, it was perfect because when we arrived, he had just gotten home with his family, his wife and his kid.
You would have missed him.
We would have missed him. Yeah, we would have missed him.
Whoa.
So we got the only on-camera interview, with him talking about the incident. And we asked him, like, why you? And it was a slow process too, because we just got our foot in the door in the house. We had a mic. And we went in there, and then, why are you coming forward? It's like, you're investigating something and taking it seriously that I participated in.
Yeah, and he said it was real.
Yeah. It was, no historia is reality, or it's not a story.
Yeah, it's not history. It's not a story, it's history.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Not a story, it's history.
And I don't know if you feel comfortable mentioning what happened to him now that he's since...
I don't know the details, but we just found out yesterday that he died.
That he passed. Do you think that might have been part of the reason why he felt it was important to come forward? Maybe he had some type of inkling, even subtle or overt?
God, it's hard to say. You know? One thing is there's a couple of very indelible moments in the filming of Moment of Contact, both before and now. And one of them was his wife. And I think can you see his wife in there at all?
I don't remember.
Okay, I should remember, but I was there. And at one point, because we got his son and him answered the door. His son was like 12 or 13. And we got foot in the door, started talking to him, and then I think I had a mic on me, and then they had the sound guy in the car outside. And then I said, hey, at some point, do you mind if we bring a camera in here a little, just ease our way in? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Then the camera guy came in, and then we just started to slowly get an interview with him on camera. It was all unfolding very organically and happening. And I was like, this is former chief of police. Wasn't sure exactly what he was going to say. But at one point, more than one point, several points, I looked over at his wife. And his son was sitting kind of close to him. But his wife was sitting at the table, and he was sitting on the couch. And I swear to you, I'm not making this up. Her eyeballs were like push, like her eyes were so open, her eyes, and she's looking at her husband, and she's not blinking. And I'm looking at Dave going, Dave, are you getting the wife? Like, are you getting the wife? Yeah, I'm getting the wife. I was like, she was like looking at him nonstop. Like,
what do you think? Why do you think she was?
Don't know.
Was she like, what are you doing? Yeah, exactly.
Because I was talking about the photograph that I heard he'd had.
Oh.
And I was pressuring him very hard. Like, I wouldn't stop.
Do you think he has it?
Well, he did have it, and he had actually admitted to at one point having it. And then I said, and I kept hammering him, and he would change the topic, and I would go right back to that photograph. I was like, this person said they saw it, and this person saw it, and this is what it's in it. There's one alive, one cat, blah, blah, blah. There's a military and maybe a fireman in the background, And And the wife was just looking at her husband like this. I swear on my fucking life.
Trying to like say,
French.
you better not say.
Like just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but she was like this.
Well, I mean, that.
Looking at him.
For me, that's the look of someone who's also seen the photo.
And I was looking at her like this, and I was like, God, this is crazy.
Wow.
Is she telling him to shut his mouth? Is she shocked that we're there? Like, what's going on with this? And then he said, when I kept hammering him on the phone, I have this all on video. He said, there are some things within the police department or the military or police department or something that will remain like secret, we won't disclose.
God.
Something like this.
Why?
Something like this.
Why?
I mean, it's the Holy Grail, right?
It is the Holy Grail. It's the Holy Grail of humanity.
Yeah, it's the Holy
Crazy.
Grail. And so, but yeah, so that was, and then I found out he died. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know how he died, but he was pretty healthy. He definitely had some, what looked like, what's that?
Arthritis.
Yeah, really bad arthritis. Yeah. In his fingers, his hands were, really kind of deformed and, but he was energetic and he was alert and he was coherent, and I didn't think he was going to die like within months of that interview, but he's gone. But, by the time your audience sees this, I would have been back with a team again to Brazil. We're meeting with a bunch more doctors.
Go through the shoebox of photos that they have in their closet.
Whatever we got to do. We're meeting with the mayor. We're having like screenings. Like, this is, in my humble opinion, and I could always be wrong, and I've been wrong in the past, but I feel like this is the beginning of the beginning, in the sense that we might reach critical mass and more people, because I'm trying to find out doctors at Humanitas Hospital, because that's what we're missing right now. And I'm in the inner circle with the doctors, with the forensic pathologists, with the neurosurgeons, right? And we're meeting their wives. We're going into their homes. We're having dinner with them. We're having glasses of wine together. We're listening to
it's going to come out
music. We're getting to know each other. We're spending time at their local restaurants, meeting the communities, you know what I mean? Like, really getting that trust and that camaraderie and friendship, laughing together, singing together, playing music together. And this is all happening and starting to feel comfortable. Like last time, one of the first times I'd met with the forensic pathologist, he was extremely guarded. And he runs, I don't know, like there are even times when we were communicating back and forth and he's like, oh, your communication is too fast. I need a video that's you, that it's really you, like paranoid. So I took a video immediately in the States and I sent it to him, like, this is me. I'm here in my car. This is me. This is not somebody else posing as me. So that trust and that friendship is happening. And again, power in numbers, right?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go now to Marco Chiereze and Eric Lopes. These two gentlemen were working for the military, and they were essentially patrolling the area. And that evening of this barricade happening, and that evening where the first creature was apprehended by what seems to be like the fire department or something.
That was in the morning. And then
that was in the morning, correct.
Earlier that day.
Yeah, and then later in the evening, they drive and come across this creature just kind of crossing the road.
Yep.
And, as brave as he is, Marco Chiereze gets out and apprehends this being with his bare hands.
Okay, so we'll back up just a moment.
Sure.
Here. So we have testimony from like the local newsmen. We have testimony from residents in the area that came upon that blockade, that military blockade at gunpoint, threatened with national security, like not messing around. You are not going beyond this point. And if you look at where the blockade is, which we did, it's right in the area where the girls came and encountered this creature, this crazy creature, which we go into detail with, in broad daylight, 10 feet away, up against that cinder block wall. And then just 2 blocks away, a couple of hours later, same blockade around that area is where the capture occurred. Now, there were 2 military officers. One was on duty that night. His name was Eric Lopes. I think it was P2, but in any case, military police. And my understanding is that he was given orders that to go out and find something unusual, some sort of creature, a wild animal, something didn't really didn't say, hey, there's a live alien walking around, go grab it. You know, it wasn't like that.
And that was the reason for the blockade, essentially.
That was the reason for the blockade. And so so Eric calls his really good buddy, Marco Chiereze, who's also a military police, but he was off duty that night. But he was like, hey, I got this crazy like assignment. Thought you want to join me. We can go out together. And so he jumps in the car and off the two of them went. And lo and behold, right at dusk, this creature ran across the road right in front of him, just a couple blocks away from where the girls are, just a few hours later. And Marco Chiereze, 23-year-old, super fit, military guy, without a moment's hesitation, without, you know, any concern for his own safety, just leaps out the back of the car, the passenger seat of the car, and grabs the creature. And my understanding is that he put it on his lap in the back seat. And in the process of grabbing it,
we'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay, I won't. Okay, so, and then they take it to a clinic, and one of the doctors apparently came out to greet them in the car, and took one look at that creature and was like, get that thing out of here. I don't know what that is, but it ain't coming in my clinic.
And it smells.
Yeah, and so they take it to regional hospital, and that's where, and funny enough, I was just at regional hospital, okay, just a few weeks ago. They have a plaque out front to like, this is the hospital where a live alien was brought to.
Whoa.
It's all right there, all official from the town.
On the hospital.
In plain sight. I can share the picture with you.
That's
okay?
crazy. Please do.
I will. So, and it describes the whole thing. So I go in to the reception where the people go in the front, and I asked them, all the people working there were 3. Hey, you know, the 1990s. Oh yeah, this is where the alien was brought. And they said, I swear to you, I'm not making this up. They said, oh yeah, the alien was brought in around the back. They didn't bring it through the front because it was scary. It was brought in the back. I was like, you got to be kidding. They said, no, in fact, there's a nurse practitioner or something still working here that was there that night. And we said, oh, can we talk to that individual? And the other doctor that we were dealing with, the neurosurgeon, was working there that night, but he was busy. But so we got their contact information, but we were only there for like 48 more hours. But now we have another contact of somebody who was there that night.
Another witness.
But no one's denying it.
No one.
And they have a big plaque right out in front. It's like in plain sight.
Yeah, they're leaning into it.
Leaning into it.
It's so cool because, you know, I'm reminded of like the Aztec crash, 1948 in Aztec, New Mexico, which got covered up as a hoax almost immediately. If you Google it, it's the hoax at Aztec. And I know better.
The military authorities were like, this is how we do it.
Yeah, exactly. The FBI covered it up. There was a smear campaign. Just if you go read anything about it, I know there's a lot of skeptics out there that'll be like, Chris, you're an idiot. Read the article. It tells you what happened. Look, I spent enough time with people who've researched it for 35 years to know that actually happened. There's something that happened there. But they were so quick on covering it up. And that town, if you go to Aztec now, you can't, like, we went to all sorts of spots in that town just to ask locals. And they're like, oh no, that hoax, totally different mentality once the FBI got involved. But anyways, I digress. At this hospital, Marco Chiereze gets to this hospital where they, you know, bring the being, and Marco then goes home. And he's starting to develop this sickness.
He's got this smelly, greasy, oily stuff on his skin.
That's right.
And apparently he took rubbing alcohol and he was trying to wipe this stuff off. And within a couple weeks, he started to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was admitted into one of the hospitals, regional or Humanitas. I think it was maybe both. Excuse me. We talked to 2 different doctors that worked on him. One just recently, but Dr. Cesario. And Dr. Cesario worked on him for a while and until he went into the ICU and then died. But, and it's funny actually, because Dr. Cesario was like, yeah, you told us this happened, that we captured this thing because this, that, and the other thing. And he wanted us to know because he was concerned for his life. And then he goes, I mean, according to his sister, he was basically like, I looked at him
so
like, yeah.
Dr. Cesario Furtado is a cardiologist for 45 years.
Yeah.
He's basically on camera saying that Marco came to him almost pleading him to help him.
Yeah.
It seemed like. And the only way that Marco could help himself was to say the truth because his life depended on it.
Yeah,
He wasn't going to hold a national security secret and take it to the grave. He's
Yeah,
like, I
and
want
die.
to get better.
Of course.
So he, in confidence, tells this doctor
But then,
what happened.
So Cesario admits that on camera, but then he goes, according to his sister, like, we looked at him like, yeah, sure. You know, of
Yeah.
course, anybody knows. But he said that he threw the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah.
That bacterial infection didn't respond.
Well, we'll
to
get.
anything.
I want to get there as well. So, here we have the autopsy report because unfortunately Marco Chiereze ended up passing away, and
23 years old, perfectly healthy,
no immune, no autoimmune disease, no deficiency immune wise, and his sister, was obviously demanding.
And his wife,
who
was pregnant.
That's right, and they were demanding, and she's only done one interview. The wife, right?
Yeah, with we're trying to track her down again, but she did an interview with Dr. Roger Lear in 2002.
That's right, and
hell of a time fighting to get the autopsy report. The reason for
not get it. Could not get the and even the reason for death was general infection, cause unknown. It wasn't.
Yeah, and they had apparently, according to them, there were pages missing, and there was like all this blockage, and then they wanted to charge them money, and it was like, the sister was going after it, the wife was going after it. They ultimately did get an autopsy report but it was missing stuff.
But now we have the autopsy report.
Yes.
Where did you get this?
With the comments directly from the guy who owned the company, IPD. And that's Dr. Giannini.
Yeah.
Dr. Giannini founded IPD, and you should look up the acronym for that.
João Baptista Macuco Giannini.
Yes.
The pathologist who's done, folks, get this, over 50,000 autopsies.
Yeah, in his company.
They've done over 50,000
since the 60s
autopsies. And in quotes, I've never seen a case like this. Let that sink in for a second. This is unique. This is one of a kind. This has never happened. And it just so happens to be from an alleged encounter. You understand?
Yeah. We ask him on camera.
Yeah. And
give me an assessment. Give me your bottom line here. And if, and he says, from all I can gather, that bacteria came from under the nail of the ET, scratched him under the armpit right here, and it killed him.
Essentially. So here is, we're going to go through the autopsy comments a little bit here. So we had we had the necropsy report, the considerations, the conclusions, and everything, and we had it translated. And it says, based on the medical findings and background information, this is a consolidated, and this is from that doctor, a consolidated English translation that maintains factual accuracy while making the content accessible. So the medical findings summary, multifocal pneumonia, multiple pneumonia.
Yeah.
Multiple areas of both lungs showed inflammation with fluid filling the air sacs, making breathing difficult. Septic pulmonary thromboembolism, which are blood clots containing bacteria, were found in lung blood vessels, indicating the infection had entered the bloodstream. Early stage heart inflammation or myocarditis. Initial signs of heart muscle swelling were present, suggesting the infection was beginning to affect cardiac function. Acute liver congestion. The liver showed blood vessel enlargement and fluid buildup, typical in severe systemic infections like an autoimmune, some type of massive systemic, highly virulent attack. Armpit abscess infection. Testing of fluid in the armpit abscess revealed abundant growth of Staphylococcus sclaferi bacteria, so like a staph infection essentially. And here are the key points about this infection, what make it so strange. So the Staphylococcus sclaferi typically causes skin and ear infections in dogs and cats. Human infections are extremely rare and normally only occur after surgery or in people with medical devices, which Marco had either of these. So doesn't happen, essentially.
And let me just say that we just got this full report with his endorsement, with his stamp and his signature on camera just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
A month ago, whatever. Sorry, carry on.
This is brand new.
This is
he's
breaking. Putting his full endorsement down on this right now on camera, not anonymously, his entire career in the twilight years of his life, because he feels like this is very,
absolutely
very important.
No small deal here.
Sorry, carry on, because you're doing a great job, by the way. Thank you.
No problem. But in this case here, are the things that really stand out. One, no prior surgery occurred. There was none of that. There is no way that this infection should have happened. Two, no immune deficiency was detected. So normally with something spreading so fast across the immune system, you would expect some type of immunocompromised disease to be happening. None of that. He was 23, like you said, incredibly healthy military guy. The bacteria showed unusual antibiotic resistance. And this is the one thing that ended up baffling both
Dr. Armando
Giannini and Armando, that's right, Fortunato, the forensic pathologist and former municipal health minister as well. So both of these gentlemen were completely baffled by the fact that they couldn't give him antibodies. None of the antibiotics that they gave him worked at all. They had zero effect on whatever was attacking his body. Nothing. Can you imagine being a professional pathologist who has all the latest technology, all the answers, and how not only frustrating, but how disheartening it must be to throw your best medical capabilities at this thing and with to no avail. Like that sticks with you. You lose a patient, not for lack of trying. You gave it everything. It just doesn't make sense. It spread rapidly through his bloodstream, and it produced toxins that affected multiple organs. Now, in the sort of synopsis or conclusions and comments that these doctors give, or this doctor here, particularly Dr. Giannini, the infection likely entered through a minor skin break, as you said, small abrasion, due to possibly, he says, the nail of the being. So it has nails.
Yeah.
And displayed unusually aggressive behavior with high virulence and antibiotic resistance. Here's a notable consideration. Given the extreme rarity in humans and the unusual aggressive nature of this infection, some have suggested the possibility of a deliberate biological manipulation of this bacteria, similar to how Komodo dragons use bacteria-laden saliva to weaken prey. It's the only thing that this doctor can sort of pin is the Komodo dragon. When it bites you, it weakens you due to the bacteria that it has in there. But also, as researchers, we might also be familiar that this secretion that the being had might have been like excretory, might have been excrement.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they get rid of their waste, is through these pores, and it happens when they're sweating and when they're running. Right?
And I need to make this abundantly clear. This creature, this entity, this being was not aggressive. It was not combative. It wasn't trying to kill people. I think that inadvertently and by accident, when Marco Chiereze, military police officer, grabbed this thing, he got a scratch from the nail under his arm. And that was, so I don't want people to feel like, oh, these ETs are out to get us, they're going to kill us. That's not the case at all. That's one of the reasons why we're so cautious anytime we do, because exposure to a type of bacteria, and the way he described it to me, because I'm a complete neophyte. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a filmmaker. But he said to me, he goes, it was an advanced bacteria unlike anything he's seen on Earth. In other words, it did things that no bacteria on Earth would do.
Yeah.
Even though it was a strain of a bacteria that they've seen, but not the way this was evolved, and the way nothing could stop it.
Yeah, and if that is the case, it's also just a case of self-defense that the body produces naturally. It's not some...
Yeah, I mean, this ET wasn't trying to kill people.
No, exactly. It was...
benign encounter. I really want people to hear that, because...
And if this was the being's excrement, what do you think happens if a being from another planet takes some of our excrement and injects it into its bloodstream? You might have a similar response.
Exactly.
The one thing that I found really interesting here is the wording at the near the end here of the comments. He says, "Thus we consider," this is a translation again, but pretty accurate. "Thus we consider that Soldier Marco must have suffered some type of superficial skin lesion that antibiotic development of infection of Staphylococcus aureus, which showed high virulence, antibiotic resistance, and prolonged course leading to severe septicemia. In the hypothesis considered by many, this is the official autopsy, involving an encounter with a strange being, we may suppose that such a being could use this bacteriological weapon. So this is him just trying to piece it together. Now, we're not saying that this is an evil being, but what I find interesting is that we have a doctor here who's got a reputation, and even immediately after, without giving it any afterthought, wrote down that he might have had an encounter with a strange being, and that's the only explanation he has. Like, that is incredible.
He said it on camera, too.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, he's not saying with 100% certainty. He's saying the highest probability from all the information he can gather is that he got scratched from the nail, and the bacteria came from under the nail of the ET under his arm, and that killed him.
So this is the first time that we have access to this autopsy report, and I think that is...
You did a great job reading it, by the way.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm grateful that you sent it to me, and I was mind blown looking through it, although, I had to Google most of what I was reading, but I learned a lot, and it's, I think it's one of those things that when you put out this movie the first time, like when you put out the first iteration of this movie, it stuck with a lot of people. That's one of the few things that movie just stuck with you, was someone dying due to infection because they came in contact with a being. And I'm glad to know that it was because of some scratch, that it wasn't just...
Yeah, some ray beam or something. Yeah,
or even just touching the being.
Yes.
That it was bacteria related, and possibly just because of, different immune systems and from...
Because everybody, according to the firsthand eyewitness testimony that I've talked to that came in contact with this creature, that it was not hostile, it was not aggressive, it was suffering, it was scared, it wanted help, and all the communication occurred through the eyes.
Okay. No antibodies could phase this thing, by the way. Again, I want to bring that home.
Well, Dr. Cesario said he threw the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and it destroyed
He'd never
everything.
He'd never seen anything like it.
Within a week.
Yeah.
Within a week.
He was, I think he died 2 to 3 weeks after he handled the creature, something like that. Weeks.
Yeah, within a week after, coming to the hospital, he was gone. Okay, we're going to move forward to the next part of the documentary, and this is where we talk about the flying disc and the family that you met with, who, quote unquote, says when they saw this disc spinning, glowing in the air, they said it was looking for something.
Mm-hmm. And I was highly dubious at the time. And they didn't want to go on camera. It's funny because, so we were renting a house on the outskirts, and it was great because it had, we have a lot of equipment with us and, camera crew, and just for an extra layer of security. It was a really nice house owned by these doctors, and it had security gate going in and out, and just for a little, little comfort. I mean, we're poking around where we shouldn't be poking around, and we're a little paranoid. And so we're staying there. Oh, what are you guys filming? And of course we told the doctors, we're filming this. Oh, well, our fellow friends, are also doctors, and they actually saw, they're witnesses. So we're like, well, hey, we'd love to talk with him. We had, assuming they were going to go on camera. That was the whole point. We're making a doc. We'll make it happen. Then we kept scheduling it, and then it was like, oh, maybe tomorrow. And then finally I said, hey, let them know we're coming. Let's get the address. Let's go meet with them. We showed up, cameras rolling, and they're like, whoa, no. We never wanted to go on camera. We were just happy to share what we know. And it was really funny actually in the film, because so I got out of the car, cameras rolling, and they're saying, and I wasn't really tuning in because I'm in film mode, I'm in production mode, and they were like, oh, we're not going on camera, and I said, okay, look, tell them this. And this is an ongoing joke in production, because I was like, okay, we can either film them from the front side, we can blur their faces, or we can film them from the back side. Never was there an option not to film them at all. And everyone was laughing. He's like, no, we're not going on camera. Okay, we're going to put you on camera like this, or we'll put you on camera like this.
So funny.
So funny.
It's something a magician would do.
You watch it in the film. It's like, no,
I heard that.
You know what I'm talking about? And I was like, will it film you like this or will it film you like that? We're just an ongoing
Yeah,
joke.
we don't have the pre-context of them saying we don't want to be filmed.
There's no option for no filming, okay? So anyway, so then they start talking. I was just kind of trying to process this like potential crash recovery, I call it ET, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But because this is also completely left field to what everybody else witnessed. So you're thinking like,
I was thinking that was part of, I don't know. I couldn't process at the time. I was just like, I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I was like, okay. But then I started piecing it together. And then, the drone footage and proximity to the capture, proximity to where the girl's seen it was right there, man. It was blocks away. Their home was blocks away. Still living in the same home. All three witnesses, the mother, the wife, the daughter. And they all watched it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It wasn't a quick sighting. And they were like slow and methodical. The way they described this thing moving around, I'm going, how do you know it was looking for something? I kept asking them, how do you know it was looking for something? Are you kidding me? They were like, it was flying real low, coming back, real low, coming back, stopping, back, this, like a grid search.
how long did they witness it for?
I think it was like 30 minutes. He says on camera, it was 20 or 30 minutes.
Yep.
And he got angry when I said, is there a prosaic explanation to what you saw? Could have been a helicopter, could have been this. And you could see how he was like, look, man, I don't even want to go on camera for this. Like I'm doing this like at great risk. I'm telling you right now, we watched it. That was it. It happened. I was here. We were witnesses. It's like, okay. And I slowly came to the realization like, shit, this might be a crash retrieval recovery operation. ET, like what else could it be? Right? And then we're talking to other people in town. We go down in the town square. We're getting other witnesses saying the same damn thing. They don't even know each other. They've never gone forward. No one's ever gotten that aspect of this case on camera. And then when we recut the movie and we had featured, like I've done with this latest cut, crash retrieval cases, Magenta, Roswell, very briefly. We're not getting bogged at Kecksburg, Kingman, the landing at Bentwaters. And just to give an example, like this is not, completely unprecedented, right? And the same thing, like in the old version of Moment of Contact, which is all done, it's all gone now, the opening, we talked about, Ubatuba, we talked about, UFO, Colares, UFOs over Brazil, 1986. And then, of course, we lead our way into, and then we show some photographic evidence over the years. So I'm like deleting that whole first part of the movie to make space for this entirely new cut of Moment of Contact, New Revelations of Alien Encounters, just to make the distinction. And I'm looking at that footage, some of the best disc footage at night I've ever seen. I was like,
yeah,
how did I not pick up on this before? Like, this is taken. So I look up the location just to the south, like where the crow flies. Could be minutes, could be, no time at all. Just to the south of Varginha, Brazil. Same year, just a couple months later. Same year. We happen to have a disc in the night sky, exactly like all these witnesses were describing, flying around in a neighborhood. Like, holy smokes.
Where'd you find that footage? Just online?
Marco Leal, when we were researching, because I said to Marco, I was like, let's sprinkle in some of the best like orb footage.
Oh, so he had this footage.
He found it. Marco found it. Other fellow researchers found it. But no one had ever been like, hey, this is, by the way.
It's great footage.
Like, it's great footage. And it's like, wait a minute. I Googled the location. I'm like, wow, that's just to the south of Varginha. Not that far. Like, wow. And it's the same year, just a few months later. Holy smokes. Could there be a connection? Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's pretty impressive.
And it looks like, all the descriptions, it's like I said, of
over residential area at night. Whoa.
Glowing, orange, roiling. It's clearly a flying saucer.
1996.
Yep.
It's really good footage.
Looks like Bob Lazar's craft.
Same
type of shape.
One thing that we should definitely consider doing is that I should give you the best copy I have of that.
Yeah.
And see if we can do some digital enhancement.
Sure.
Put it through AI. I don't know, whatever they can do, whatever technology software.
I wouldn't put it through AI, but I would definitely clean it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's methods to clean it up because AI can take some liberties that might be misleading.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know the process, but like whatever one can do to enhance it, because I would love to do a deep dive I'd like to see it. I mean, it's pretty damn good as it is.
Oh, it's fantastic. I actually love the film grain, and I like the digital.
Of course, and it's original.
Yeah, those type of sightings, I'm very high conviction when I see something like that.
Yeah.
There are, other sightings that are more clear, other ones that are more like orbs and this and that. And it's like, to both of those, I get a little bit more skeptical. But as soon as I see this sort of glowing shape and the shape of what it is,
You hear the little boy go, "It's a disc, Mom."
I know. It's so, it is, for me, that's, I'm pretty
1996.
convinced. Yeah.
Really good, right?
Yeah, right there too.
I know.
So, but then they get visited by NASA, essentially.
Oh, the family. Yeah. Well, it's funny, actually, because the wife's like, NASA. And the husband goes, maybe NASA. We don't really.
Yeah, maybe NASA. They're American.
Yes.
And then Ubijara
Rodriguez was there, and he probably hated the fact that they exposed him on that, but he was there with Americans.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where I went, hold on a second. What are we saying? Are we saying that this UFO researcher was
the guy that did a 180 years later too? Now he won't even talk about it. He won't. Yeah,
because he was the original researcher.
Yes.
He was the lawyer that came out right at the beginning.
He was the one annihilating everybody else's arguments. He was super smart, super educated, super aware of the case.
Pro case.
And he's meeting with Americans, interviewing witnesses.
And those Americans are telling him what? What did they tell the family?
We were never here.
We were never here. This never
happened. Keep your zip.
And this UFO researcher is right there in the trenches.
According to all three family members.
As I was taking notes, I was like, hold on, this is this guy? Because he kept saying Ubrijara. And I was like, that's the name of that guy.
Dude, I'm glad you picked up on that. Most people don't. Most people, that goes right over their head. Very significant.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ubrijara.
That's part of the cover-up.
Part of the cover-up, meeting with Americans, evidently from NASA. I don't know. But they were like, this never happened. We were never here. Zip.
For all of you thinking out there that you can't be compromised as a UFO researcher, you're going from this guy who's a lawyer, very smart man, and obviously very, very passionate about the Varginha case being real, to now working apparently, allegedly, with the Americans and then just ghosting everybody. Like, I mean, come on. And then turning on it. I mean.
The girls were very, very upset with him. Some of the things he said.
Yeah.
Because the girls have had everything to lose and nothing. Everybody has, really.
Yeah, and they could have accepted a bag of money.
And it's like, this is not exactly, especially then, it wasn't a career-enhancing move. Like, they were laughed at. I mean, they talk about it in the movie. Like, we've been laughed at our whole lives.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people take it seriously. A lot of people believe them, but you're getting ridiculed.
Still jokes. Yeah.
Oh, you want the job? Like, oh, aren't you the one that sees E.T.? Like, like, do you think that's helping them out? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, you're the guy. It was just like the police officer, Lonnie Zamora, in 1964. He quit his job as a police officer because people were like, oh, you're the guy that sees E.T., right?
Herbert Schirmer, same thing, 1962.
Yeah,
same thing. He quit his job.
Quit his job, worked at a dump for the rest of his life, the rest of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot. So, interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
And then he says that, this guy also says that multiple people he knows just kind of picked up and left. A lot of people just left town. They just skipped town. People he knew were just like gone.
Certainly disengaged and stopped talking about it.
Yep.
Paccaccini packed up and left for, I think, 20 years.
That's but even just witnesses, probably.
Yeah, I mean, look, Carlos de Souza, gone. Unreachable, 26 years gone. Can you imagine? Paccaccini, the lead investigator, gone. Ubrijara Rodriguez, 180, won't talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really?
That's so wild that family named him. That is such a. When I was
you're one of the only people that has pointed that out.
I'm glad you kept it in.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we move on to another anonymous witness who wanted to remain anonymous, was the radiologist. This is, for me, one of the craziest ones, because he's like, they bring in this small body bag, which is so chilling.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Yes, please.
So Marco Leal, who's an exceptional researcher, boots on the ground, is my partner, co-producer. There's also another co-producer, Aline Krass, more recently. She's joined the team. But Marco had met some students of his at some school in Varginha. And somehow the topic of Varginha UFO, case came up. And they were like, oh, yeah, our teacher, who's a radiologist at so-and-so, told us this crazy story, And so Marco was like, whoa, where is he now? So he found him, but he was still working at the time. So years and years of effort to get him to come forward. No, for years. No. And then finally in 2021, I think it was, he managed to get him to come meet with us, and he agreed reluctantly to go on camera, but as long as we disguised his voice and filmed him from the back. And you know what?
You gave him his two options?
Yeah. Right. I know. We gave him his two options. We'll film you like this. And it's incredible. He talks about the fact that the military came in, they had this something inside a Ziploc, bag.
Body bag.
Body bag.
A child's body bag.
Stank, and it was all done in secrecy, and there was no talking, because I always ask witnesses, can you put me in the room? What was the atmosphere like? And people were looking at each other, but there was no conversation, and we need you to perform this. The only time in the history of his career where he took the x-rays and they wouldn't even let him process to see if they came out right. They took it all. This never happened. We were never here.
Thank you very much.
Order of silence. Thank you very much.
You've
Goodbye.
done your job.
You've done your job.
And what also I think was interesting is that he told you that there was a guy with a camera there too.
No, that was.
That was in the other room.
Yep, that was the
driver. That was in Military X.
That was in Humanitas Hospital.
I'm mistaken the two.
Yeah, but there were cameras, according to other doctors, both in Humanitas and in regional.
In the regional hospital.
Yes, and we have names of those people too now.
Interesting.
For the first time, we have.
Yeah, because you don't miss a camera back then because they're not they don't fit in your pocket.
Exactly.
These massive stupid looking things.
Yeah. Like cell phones, big brick.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these giant things you got to wear on a strap.
Over your shoulder.
It's a whole briefcase.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's the military man X who ends up seeing the alien in a box when he goes to the hospital, and that was just such an amazing interview at the end of the first part of this. After this is when we hear about, in the documentary, the USAF, United States Air Force. Yeah.
USAF.
Yeah.
USAF. I kept thinking, USAF. What's this guy talking about? USAF.
Yeah.
USAF.
Landing.
Yeah.
That is a big, big deal.
So all the airplanes coming into a particular area, according if they come from outside Brazil, have to have Brazilian government
clearance.
Authorization to land. And this plane was coming in, didn't have that authorization. And according to, I guess you call them flight control officers, radar? What do you call it? What's the name of the people that monitor all incoming flights?
Yeah.
To a particular country.
Radar operators or tower.
Flight control.
Sure.
Anyway, apparently, according to him, the plane was coming in and didn't
Radio
have
control towers.
Radio control towers. Plane was coming in, didn't have authorization. Some high-level Brazilian military official stepped in and said, let the plane land. It diverted. Apparently it was going to go into Sao Paulo, but it didn't. It went straight to Campinas. And we have testimony from Military X that he drove the trucks from Humanitas Hospital to Eza military base and then from Eza to Campinas. And so logically, something was loaded up on there. That would have been where the Americans stepped in. And now we have new
metal boxes,
whatever. I don't know how long the creature that was in captivity that was alive. We don't know how long it stayed alive.
Yeah.
Was it alive when the Americans took it? My understanding is it was. How long did it stay alive? We don't know yet. But yeah. And more pieces of the puzzle are filling in because now we have testimony from, the military actually drove the creature. Well, we've had that, but now we have testimony from the chief of police.
Yeah.
Not anonymous, putting his face and his name on camera.
It's a big deal.
He was like, I saw a creature under a tarp, something under a tarp, more brass than I've ever seen in the history of my career as a military base, helicopters landing, going, whole commotion. And he's like, the Americans came to Campinas And that's when they took the stuff.
Which, as we find out a bit later, pissed
Yeah.
off a lot of the
Yeah.
local military.
Yeah.
You then, which I thought was just the coolest thing ever, you produced a Freedom of Information Act request
Yeah.
to find a flight log
Yeah.
of the CIA, or not of the CIA, of the United States Air Force.
Working with two different people, basically, there was a gentleman, hey, how can I help? I was like, hey, we want to file a FOIA request. Okay, let me know what information you want. I had this other gentleman anonymously reaching out to me, and he was so knowledgeable. He was like, you got to check here, you got to check that. There's going to be flight logs, and da-da-da-da-da. And we were going back and forth for a while, and I had a lot of incoming information. I mean, just processing after the Joe Rogan appearance for this case was a full-time job, just trying to receive all the messages, process all the messages, try to get back to everybody. But there was one person in particular who was really knowledgeable. I mean, I was like, who are you? And he's like, actually, I'm a colonel in the United States Air Force. I was a former fighter pilot, and I had a very dramatic UFO encounter in 1980. I've been following your work. I'm following this case, and I want to help you find that flight. So I was like, oh, cool. So now I'm working with a colonel in the United States Air Force, retired, but still, like, he's amazing. Frederick Clausen, he's okay for me to talk about this. So anyway, so he's giving me guidance. There's another gentleman, which I consider one of our team guys, and he's like, hey, let's do this. What do you want me to say? And I was like, okay. All flights coming in from the United States, and I don't know what the span of time was. Maybe it was 10 days, maybe it was 2 weeks. I can't remember, but I wanted to make sure it was before the crash and up to 10 days or 8 days or a week after January 20th. So we just covered that whole window, but
Nice
I didn't
block.
do too much. Nice block. All planes coming in. And so we filed that FOIA in 2021, 2022, probably 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. We get a response from the CIA.
From the CIA.
Yeah.
And what, pray tell, does the CIA tell you, to no surprise?
Well, like basically resorting back to something that was signed in 1949, national security, I think they said
The
that
National Security
we
Act.
can
or
neither
something.
confirm nor deny.
That's right.
The information according to the 1949 Act, and you could show the document, it's national security or classified. We're not going to tell you.
Yeah, basically stonewalled
Flight record
for an entire block.
from the CIA too. Why would we reach out to the CIA? That's kind of telling.
Yeah, of
Now,
course it's telling.
I'm not a FOIA guy, right? I mean, I'm not seasoned, but everyone that I've shown that to, including like Chris Mellon, are highly dubious. Like, well, that's really odd.
Of course it's odd.
Yeah, right. Like,
Of course it's odd.
of course it's odd.
Of course, they landed without authorization in Brazil. They're not going to admit to that.
Yeah.
Even if there was nothing to pick up, they're not going to admit to a random, plane landing unauthorized. Like that's just proof that they weren't supposed to be there. For whatever reason, they're not answering that.
Can't have a flight log
Yeah, it just so
for
happens
a
that
couple of weeks.
there was also talk of an alien running around and a ship crashing. Must be coincidental that they also don't want to answer questions about their flight log during that week. You know what you should do? You should FOIA request a month after and a month before.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Just to
Yeah.
get them to be like, oh yeah, no, we were not there.
You know what I should do? I should get some of the members of Congress that I'm working with to do that
Yeah.
with me.
FOIA request a bunch of random dates that year,
You know what?
before and after.
If it came from a sitting member of Congress.
Yeah.
That would be a more effective way of doing it.
But even like, yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah, of course.
Not coming from a civilian. This is coming from a sitting member of Congress.
Of course, but I mean, if these are USAPs, they're not going to, or even special access programs, they're not going to allow, anybody access. But
I did find out that where the bodies most likely went was on the East Coast, and that's as much information as I can get.
on the East Coast,
Yeah, the bodies went to the East Coast. East Coast, United States.
do you think there was where was I looking at?
I found out somebody from the DIA told me that.
DIA.
That's what the individual said.
Ooh, interesting. That actually, that's pretty high conviction
that
there.
it would go to the East Coast. And then the individual was like, that's as far as I'm going. It's like,
Probably
is it Maryland? Is
DNI, Department of Naval Intelligence, which doesn't exist, somewhere on an island, a floating island is my guess.
I would like to know, and I'd also like to know how long that entity stayed alive.
Yeah.
and what kind of communication there was, because there was communication, and it was all done through the eyes. I'd like to know.
Which
I want to know so bad, Chris. You have no idea.
I understand. It brings us to Dr. Italo Venturelli,
Yes.
a hero.
Oh my God.
In my eyes, this man deserves a medal.
This guy's not retired, and he's not doing it anonymously.
He's an absolute saint. He's the head surgeon at the Hospital Regional in
And he's still
Varginha. Yep. He is still there. He was the head of 3 hospitals, folks, right? This is no
So let me tell you how we got.
slouch.
Let me tell you how we got to him.
Mhm.
This is a sort of truncated version. Marco, my partner, Marco Leal, he has. I can't give away too much, but I need to give away just enough.
Sure, yeah.
Still protecting some of our sources.
Keep your sources.
Yes. So there's a couple of different hospitals, and I'm not going to name which one, but we have someone on the inside who's been meeting with us off the record, very discreetly, and saying, you need to go talk to this individual. You need to talk, why is that? Because they were shown some stuff. And so Marco has been like, okay, this is the individual. This is the doctor we need to talk to. We know that this doctor was shown video. We know this other doctor was shown video. So Marco's reaching out to these various doctors. And about a year ago, we had heard through another doctor, through our contact on the inside, working in this hospital, that Dr. Italo was shown the video. Okay. So Marco arranges a time where it was like, a Zoom call a little over a year ago with Dr. Italo, who's a neurosurgeon at Regional, like, hey, did you really see this video? And he admits, I don't even know if this was recorded. It probably was recorded. Knowing Marco, it was recorded, but I was on the other end of it, and he was a translator, and he confesses that there is a video and he did see it. So that was about a year ago. So this is kind of all ongoing. So then fast forward about a year later, that individual is still on our target, is still like in our sights, right? But I really wanted to get the 2 forensic pathologists, particularly Dr. Giannini, because he was getting on in years, to talk about the bacteria that we could possibly incorporate in a new cut of moment of contact. And so we're doing these interviews with them at IPD. You can look up the acronym for that, but it's basically the 2 forensic pathologists. It's the company that did the analysis, the tissue sample analysis on the deceased military officer, as well as the doctor that did the autopsy on the deceased military officer, Marco Chiereze. So we're doing this interview, and it's all amazing. And they're saying some incredible stuff, and we're super excited. And we're like, hey, there's this other doctor. We're really trying to reach him. And that was Dr. Italo and Dr. Armando, who did the autopsy on the deceased military officer. He goes, hey, yeah, hold on a second. Pulls his phone out. Hey, Dr. Italo. And they're speaking in Portuguese. And then he goes, okay. Hangs the phone up. Tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Go around to the back gate at Regional Hospital. He's going to meet you there at 10 o'clock. Say 10 o'clock. We're like, okay. So the next morning, we all get in the car, cameras rolling, sound guy, let's roll. We go to the back gate, the back entry point, not the front, the back. And it was like, that's kind of odd. We didn't know exactly what was happening. And that's when he walks out in his full
scrubs.
Yeah, he's working he's working. And he sneaks us in the back. And he's sneaking us down these long corridors, and I'm talking to the camera.
What are you thinking? Like, where are we going? What is he showing us?
I'm totally thinking that.
Because you think this guy's only seen video.
Exactly. So he's with us down there. We don't really know what's happening. Now, unbeknownst to our whole team, since the year before meeting where we confronted him on did he see the video, he had a heart attack. He went into the ICU. He was staring at the ceiling. His partner, that was also a neurosurgeon at Regional Hospital, Marcos Vinicius, he had a heart attack in 2018 and died. And so he was apparently staring at the ceiling in the ICU thinking, shit, I'm going to take this to the grave, just like my partner. Like, then on top of that, so he was like, if I recover, I think I'm going to go public. Then on top of that, he got cancer. I think he got prostate cancer. He's been recovering from that as well. So I think he was just like still working at the hospital.
I had a wake-up call.
Had a wake-up call, and he was like, for the sake of my grandchildren, future generations, I'm not going to take this to the grave. So he sneaks us in, and I have no idea what's going on. Everything's happening rather quickly, right? So I'm told that I got to put on these scrubs. I got to put on a mask. I got to put on a hat, because you can't enter ICU without that. You have to have all that gear on. So I'm putting everything on.
Sterile environment.
What's going on? Like, what's happening? What's I'm just, okay. I'm just doing what I'm told. Sound guy, camera guy, Marco's there, Alini's there, translator, and takes us into the ICU. Then he starts talking about, this is where I saw the video, is in this bed. And then he was just like, yeah, the ET was right here in this bed, right here in this room. I'm like, wait a minute, the video, the ET, what? And then it all comes out. Like, yeah, I was here that night. Marcos Vinicius is the one that performed the procedure. I was in this room with ET, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is all unraveling all on camera. It's happening, where he was just saying, I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care anymore. I'm old enough. I'm seasoned enough. I'm important enough. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm coming forward. And he's doing it. And then we're filming. I'm just shocked. The whole thing is just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this development is one of the biggest, if true, it's the biggest, most significant development in the history of the phenomenon, because I challenge anyone out there to show me testimony from anyone, particularly a neurosurgeon.
An active neurosurgeon, not retired.
Not retired, who's putting his entire career on the line to say, I had face-to-face contact, telepathic communication for 3 to 4 minutes with an alien in captivity. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't think of another case. This is a first.
Yeah,
and I happen to have your first hat on when it happened. But anyway, so we're filming that. I'm just trying to process as best as I can. And I speak French, a little bit of Spanish, studied Spanish for a few years. So, and when I'm in the field, no matter where I'm in China or in Africa, whatever the hell I am, I really want to know what's being said. Like, you have no idea. Like, I go to another level of communication. I'm on a spiritual level. Like, I want to hear. So I'm picking up words. I'm doing everything I can. I'm reading body language. I'm like, when I'm in the field, I need to be able to communicate with people. I need to see, I want to know exactly what's being said. You know what I mean? So I'm picking up on pieces, like what's happening. I'm feeling the energy in the room. Bam! Like, all the hospital staff catch us filming in there, and they're pissed off, and they grab the neurosurgeon, and they're like, blah, 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 and I'm like, shit, I probably just got this guy fired. You know what's going to happen? Ultimately, we get kicked out, and he's like, sorry, go ahead.
Before
yes,
you go to this next location, which ends up being, I think, one of the most important interviews I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's sitting there pointing to the bed.
Yeah.
And saying the being was under blanket, like tucked like a little patient. He said he looked like he had the body of a 7-year-old.
Yes.
And the skin was white.
Yes.
Pale.
Yes.
And he said the eyes were reddish. He didn't say red.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people thinking these glowing red eyes. That wasn't the case. They were red, maybe even from, and contrary to other reports we had heard about this creature being brown, maybe once, and we can assume based on other testimony from other cases that this is excrement that they're leaking out of their skin. It could be brown as well. And that might, once wiped off, leave them very pale. Also, or
maybe the heat of the hot sun.
Also, and the molecular biologist that allegedly, if you go on Reddit, there's a report of this molecular biologist that allegedly worked on some of these beings that were frozen. They were pale as well, but he noticed there were thousands of pores on the skin, and that their whole system would excrete through the skin. So very similar, but
are there other animals that excrete that excrete through the skin? Is it pigs?
I think chickens.
Oh, chickens?
Yeah, I think chickens.
Okay.
Also.
Okay.
But yeah, so you have this being now sitting here, and he says it was like serene, it was calm.
Mm-hmm.
And in his words, he says he had control of the room.
Yeah. Despite the fact that it was in captivity, it had control of the room. Yeah. And when he looked at it in the eyes, He was like, it just read all my
There's
thoughts.
communication.
Read all my thoughts. Like he knew everything I was thinking. And he said it was the most advanced intelligence. And I said, way more advanced. This guy's plays piano like Mozart. I mean, he's a brain surgeon. He's an extraordinary human being when you meet him. I mean, he's an extraordinary human being. And
he's empathetic.
Super empathetic. And he said it was an advanced intelligence. I said, what do you mean? Anything way more advanced than anything on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have a mean bone in its body. It was an angel. He's described it as an angel.
Yeah.
And then I remember asking him, like, because we got kicked out of the hospital when that whole commotion happened. You're not supposed to be filming here. You guys don't have permits. What are you doing? Yeah, but this is where it all took place. Yeah, we know that, but you can't be in here and da-da-da-da. I'm sorry, And it's all happening quickly. It's like, the confrontation with Eric Lopes where it's all happening quickly and I'm hearing it's all in a foreign language and I'm trying to process what's going on. And I'm thinking this guy probably just lost his job. He's thinking maybe I might have lost my job. We ended up leaving, going into a cafe. I mean, we were just walking through the streets. We didn't know where the hell we're going, but I wasn't going to let it go there. I needed to sit him down somewhere. We just walked into a cafe and sat down and took over that cafe.
I saw that. I saw the staff in the back being like, what's going on?
Yeah. And then I'm crying and he's crying.
Well, he says something. You can tell when you ask him, you ask him about the being and he starts going, there was no evil. It was an angel. And he starts getting very emotional. You can tell he's feeling for this being. And, he goes, a quote that stuck with me, we have a lot to learn through the eyes of that being. And that was just so powerful, seeing how emotionally worked up he was in delivering that. And you being able to connect with him and him being able to read that you were sincere because of spending 15 years, more than 15 years going back to, he knew how much you cared about this and it was cathartic for him. You get the sense that this immense weight was in that moment for the first time, perhaps in 3 decades, he was able to communicate the profound nature of his exchange, his telepathic communication with an extraterrestrial, with someone else. The fact that you caught that on video is incredible, and the whole
David
movie.
West, I gotta say, David West, our DP, had such a tough task at hand because everything was on the fly. Nothing was set up. He had light coming in from the windows. He was like, James, I was hustling. I was trying not to miss. I only had one camera and I was adjusting things as fast as I could, trying to make it stand on the face, trying to get you, like, it was all on the fly. And David West did a remarkable job. Thank you, David West, capturing that moment, because it was really intense for me, because it's like, remember, this is an ongoing investigation for me and for Marco Leal. I mean, you look at Marco at one point, the camera pans across to him and he wipes his forehead and he shakes his head a little bit like, did that just happen? Is this just happening? Is this happening right now? Like, did I just hear what I thought I heard? And then, as someone who's investigated the case, 15, 16 years, I'm like, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe this happened. Like, what is it? Yeah. What is it like for you after 29 years to finally get this off your chest? And he starts to cry. And then we had that moment and he grabs my hands. The head neurosurgeon, dude, grabs my hands and he kisses my hands. And it's like, you can believe it. You can believe it. And that's when he says, there's so much to learn from the eyes of that being. It's like, whoa, you know what I mean? And like everybody that I've talked to, I mean, who knows? Like, you never know how a film is going to be received in the public. I did my best to try to tell the story in a compelling way. We have so much more compelling firsthand eyewitness testimony now. Chief of police, forensic pathologist, neurosurgeon, like another crash witness or another witness of the cylindrical shaped object, very in proximity to everything else. But also incorporate some of the allegations coming from the American side, from the congressional hearings. I didn't want to beat a dead horse or regurgitate a whole bunch of stuff that's already happened, but I felt like, the congressional hearings are very compelling. The allegations, crash retrieval, A lot of people coming forward. I feel the frustration within the community that they're not providing enough details to verify these extraordinary claims and the criticisms coming in. But I have to remind everybody out there that in the last 4 years, we've had 4 congressional hearings, 3 of which we've talked about, potential crash retrieval. People are testifying under oath, okay? Let's take a moment and recognize that, it's not happening overnight. Things are moving pretty quickly considering how far it's been since the previous congressional hearings over 50 years. But taking the congressional hearings, making some sense of that, talking to Eric Davis, aerospace engineer, it's phenomenal. But then kind of fusing the two. So it's like you talk about crash retrieval, you talk about biologics, live aliens. I can't think, and maybe you can, but personally, I can't think of a better case than the Varginha case involving the Americans. I don't think there's a better, more well-documented recent case in the world that I know of. And so, but who knows how this is going to be received? I mean, there's ontological shock half the time people can't even process. I know how I looked at it all when I was doing my second documentary on UFOs. It can't be, therefore it isn't, right? So I don't know, Chris. I really don't know. I've never, we'll see how this lands.
I don't care what people think about this documentary if they don't watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Good point, yeah.
That's all I care about, is that you watch it. You want to critique some of the editing, you want to critique a music choice, yeah, go for it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Watch that documentary. Look into the eyes of the people that are putting everything on the line to tell you about the most important, significant interaction that's ever existed. I think with this movie and with the research that you've been doing, this is some of the most profound, important work done in disclosure, including the congressional hearings. I think this, to me, holds more value because we're not talking to lawmakers or people who've, signed away their lives with NDAs. We're talking to human beings from all walks of life who are all in their own right credible, regardless of if they've served in the military or not. These people are real, and you get to see their emotion. You get to see the tears flowing from their eyes. This is real. This happened. And I think that it's some of the most important work ever in this subject. I think you've done a great service to humanity with this. I really do.
Well, I really want to make sure that all the other people involved get the credit too. All the previous researchers, Marco Leal, Lini Cross, you guys,
yep,
everyone out there that's come before us.
Vittorio Paccaccini,
Uberajada Rodriguez, Marco Petit.
Yep.
We are stronger together.
Absolutely.
And we and I think on the coattails of Age of Disclosure, with Lou Elizondo and Dan Farah, you could call that a psyop, whatever you want to call it. I personally don't believe that, but they're making extraordinary claims, extraordinary allegations at the highest levels we've ever seen before in history. And I have to tip my hat to those involved for getting that done. And then now we've got the case.
Yeah, the case.
This is it. So you're looking for the evidence. This is the case, in my opinion.
And it's ongoing.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
I look forward to sitting here in a year from now.
By the time your audience,
hopefully we'll be able to premiere a really interesting video.
By the time your audience is watching this, I would have been back with another team of people meeting with more doctors in the community than ever before in history.
It's exciting. I want you to be safe, man. This is another thing I want to just touch on. I want to talk about Vittorio a little bit more here because prior to the movie, you started releasing interviews with him.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
To announce the fact that he's back in. You're talking about Paccaccini?
No, I'm talking about. Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the neurosurgeon Italo. Italo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
When we dropped the trailer, that obviously includes clips of him in the trailer, so that it's not like people aren't going to know.
Yep.
We talked to Ross Coulthart at News Nation, and hey, I'd actually spoken to him a while ago, right after I'd done the interviews. We'd gotten back, I don't know, a couple months later from Brazil, and I was like, talking to Ross at Contact in the Desert, along with a handful of others. And I was telling him, oh my gosh, we just got back. He's like, that's one of my favorite cases. Like, you're not going to believe, he's like, well, you call me when you're ready to make some announcements, drop the trailer, announce the film's imminent release, this sort of thing. And so I contacted him. I was like, we're ready. We're ready like in a couple of days. He's like, can you do an interview tomorrow? I was like, wow. And maybe, you could have a little teaser clip of Dr. Italo, of course, and after we filmed initially way earlier this year, we'd gone back a second time. And then by the time your audience seeing this, gone back a third time, because we're really getting to know Italo. We did another hour-long plus, head-on interview with him on camera, going into more details.
Yeah, and he also like defends himself.
Yeah, getting to know his wife.
Where he's like, I'm the head of 3 hospitals.
Yeah.
I'm not a slouch.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Exactly. And with everything to lose and nothing to gain.
I love it.
It's like, but getting to know his wife, getting his wife to know us, because we have I'm kind of sworn to secrecy until January, and not because I'm trying to be evasive or anything, but there are other things in the works,
of course,
that are going to be, it's going to be more than just a documentary. This is a movement, and this is involving a lot of people behind the scenes, and there will be another big announcement in early January. And I mean, big announcement in early January that we've been working on for 7 or 8 months. And again, I wish I could just tell you guys everything, because I just can't for a number of reasons. You'll understand later. But
will you give me a heads up?
Of course I will.
Because I would love to.
Of course,
do anything I can to help with that.
Of course I will. But it'll involve things that are happening right here in the United States. So big stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so Ross is like, hey, can we take a little snippet? Of course,
Yeah.
let's have him in his own words. Let's addressing, and when I had him, Dr. Italo, with all the other like forensic pathologists, we're going to their homes, we're meeting their partners, their wives, their friends, their local hangout spots, the restaurants they enjoy to go to, everyone getting to know each other. Literally performing. He's amazing on the piano. People are singing, playing guitar.
He plays at the end of the movie.
Yeah, just getting to know each other. Yeah, he sent us that clip, and I was like,
so beautiful.
That is so beautiful. I need to have that in the movie.
And of course, the hands of like a neurosurgeon. You don't understand, like,
right?
Like literally performing brain surgery. Like these hands have to be steady, stable. Like I'm a magician.
Yeah,
I know. What it takes to develop certain muscles in the fingers and different parts of the hand for. Sleight of hand practice, it pales in comparison to what this guy does. I'll tell you that.
He would say, like, he's so focused on surgery. I want to say, like, he has to take a break and he'll have somebody come in to replace him for a little bit while he takes a break. 10, 12, 13-hour surgeries.
Jeez.
And he goes, James, I'm so focused. I'm like, I'm looking in through the microscope, and my whole existence is inside that brain.
Oh my!
For so many hours. You understand the level of intensity of what the work that I do. I was like, I never thought of it like that before. He goes, I would have said like, a couple of, Some of these go on for like a whole day, or half a day, or like whatever, you know what I mean? And he goes, I'm in that brain. Because my whole existence is inside there, and then having to come out of that existence, it's incredible. I've never been friends with a brain surgeon before, like a neurosurgeon. He's incredible. He's an incredible human being.
And imagine trusting him to.
I asked him if he could put.
Imagine trusting him to fix your brain.
Yeah. No, we jokingly.
But don't trust him about what he says.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I said to him jokingly, I was like, hey, Dr. Italo, this is just recently because we're going to be together in a week. And I said, could you do me a favor? And he's like, oh, what's that? And I said, could you put a bigger brain in my head? We both had a really good laugh. It's like, we're always joking around with each other. He goes, when I see you again, I'm going to show you a real brain like this. I was like, really? He goes, oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he's incredible. He's amazing. I love the out of him. Has he had any
Yes.
backlash
Yes.
and repercussions
Yes.
due to his appearance?
Yes.
And this is before the movie comes out, so this is only because of what was put out.
He lost his job.
No way.
But he got his job back because he was so needed. But yeah, yes.
Wait, how did he lose his job? How did he find out?
I don't know if he was fired or what exactly what happened, but I was so upset.
Directly because of this?
Yes. But then within a week, they realized they couldn't survive without him. He was so critical. He was the head guy, and he could do things that nobody else can do.
That's incredible.
So they had to have him back on board. So yeah, that happened. So I put out a video, and I said, I was a walking, talking video in the countryside. I said, look, whether you believe him or you don't believe him, this man has dedicated his life to making lives better for other people. He is a hero. He's dedicated his life to do amazing things. At the very least, have respect for him when you're criticizing. Just give this man the dignity and respect he deserves. And then I said, if there's anybody out there in the military community thinking about paying him a visit, I will dedicate my life to finding and exposing that effort. I don't care whatever it takes. We're watching you. We're watching him. He's under our protection. And any other witness that comes forward gets the same treatment. They need to be respected and protected to show and that's been totally fine ever since. And I think that he really appreciated that video that I put out because I was like, I'm keeping an eye on you. We all are. And we got your back.
The fact that he got
your back.
fired for saying what he said and then rehired is so... I mean, I love the fact that he got rehired.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, he didn't get fired for a lack of mental faculty. Yeah. Because then they wouldn't have rehired him. He got fired for an entirely different reason. One that they had no choice but to overlook, so it couldn't have been that serious. That's...
I'll get him to make a statement about it soon, very soon.
Well, I hope, I hope everything goes well. I hope everything goes well for him, for you, for your team, for everyone involved. You're in my thoughts constantly, and I'm really throwing out whatever protections I can around you and your whole team and all the witnesses. I think just absolutely.
We're in this together and we're stronger together.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I got some questions I want you to answer. Well, actually, our audience does, so give me a second.
You got it, brother.
All right. So we have some questions here.
Yes, sir.
From our lovely audience, who always brings the heat with the questions. I gotta say, and if
I can neither confirm nor deny.
If you guys want a chance and an opportunity to ask our guests some questions, you can also sign up to the membership. With that comes a lot of perks, including extra episodes, but also you get to appear on this little board behind me. And here is the first question from Dracolich.
Okay.
What film do you believe best represents the phenomenon? Now,
the phenomenon.
That's my answer. But if you had to, maybe a film that isn't even like a documentary about the phenomenon, what is maybe a fiction or science fiction movie, do you think would
Close
best...
Encounters.
Close Encounters? Yeah. I think that's...
Yeah.
Has everything.
It's really funny because Varginha, if you think about it, the Varginha case, 1996, think of the parallels to E.T. Okay.
Right.
I often think, what would have happened? Because when Katya, Liliani, and Valkyria came within 10 feet of a live creature in broad daylight, remember that Liliani and her sister were the two youngest, because Katya was 21, Liliani was 16, her sister was 14, Valkyria. She grabbed her younger sister and hightailed it out of there. I don't know how far they got, 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever. And they realized, shit, we left Katya back there. Katya's back there, and she leaves her younger sister, Valkyria, and Liliana goes back to get Katya. Well, Katya was frozen, locked eyes on this creature, and the creature was pleading with her, I need help. I'm weak. I'm frightened. I'm just scared. And was asking, now, what would happen, let's just say, if Katya had decided to lure this creature into safety. Take it in the house.
I see where you're going.
I'm just saying.
Dress it up?
Or whatever.
Put some makeup on it?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, that
Yeah.
would have been the real life ET.
Wild how it mimicked reality before it happened.
You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Anyway, so
Very cool.
Could have taken a different turn.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Which one first here? Let's do this one first. This is from Edson.
I feel like I'm at a train station in Paris.
There's only one stop and it's disclosure. If you could truth serum one person about the phenomenon, any era, who would you choose? It's a good question.
Hal Puthoff.
Hal Puthoff with truth serum?
Yeah.
Interesting. I would do Eisenhower.
Oh. Whew, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that. Or Truman.
Or Forrestal.
Yeah. Or Truman.
Truman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Truman.
Not bad. Or George Bush Sr.
George Bush Sr. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point.
I mean,
that's a good point. That's a good point. I stand corrected.
Even
probably
Detlef Bronk, who was like the biologist back then, who apparently he was the one who worked on these beings and the bodies and stuff. MJ-12.
You know, I've heard that
Cheney would have been a good one.
Yeah, Cheney could have been a good one. But probably Bush Sr. because he was head of CIA.
He was.
Apparently he was told about the Holloman landing case. I don't know if he was shown the evidence or not. That would have been good. So, I mean, if I had to choose one now that you're saying that.
Carter also. Like, I mean, there's
Carter less so.
Yeah, less so.
I would say George Bush Sr.
I'd still go Eisenhower, I think.
I
mean, you hear that. Right. You hear that address when he left office.
That's true.
About the military-industrial complex. I mean, that came from somewhere.
Yeah. When did Eisenhower step down? Was it 60?
No, wasn't it in the 50s?
I thought it was 61 he gave that address.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I could be wrong. I thought it was 61. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Check up.
Well, I know he served in the 50s, so it might have been 60s. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he took a lot to the grave.
Unfortunate too, right?
Yeah, he seemed like a decent man from like when you hear that speech. It seems like he was strong-armed into obviously not giving up secrets. When you hear about the lore and stuff that involves Eisenhower and the gifts that he might have been given at these meetings and whatnot.
You know, one other person that comes to mind is, when I was told you about this guy, Jeff Sagansky, earlier in the show.
Yeah.
And Jeff, I still do. In fact, he just called me a couple of days ago. I need to call him back. But he was head of Sony Pictures. He was very influential behind the scenes, never wanted credit, never wanted a dime. And one day I asked Jeff Sagansky, hey, why are you so good to me? Why are you helping me out? He's like, James, you're a small independent filmmaker. You're one guy out there trying to like really get to the truth, find out what's going on. I admire that in you, your tenacity. And I was friends with Jackie Gleason.
Oh.
And I said, really? I said, really? And not really knowing exactly where this was going to go, but he goes, yeah, I think he worked on some film with him. I'm not sure which one it was. A while ago, obviously. And Jackie Gleason told Jeff Sagansky to his face, I don't care what anybody tells you about UFOs. I know for a fact they are absolutely real and the government knows it. No question. He didn't say, hey, the president of the United States took me out to an air base in Florida and showed me bodies and good. But he did all but say that, is interestingly enough. So, Jackie Gleason.
Cool.
Could have been one too.
I wonder what celebrity would have been given such access, because you have to think that even the people in charge with NDAs that have signed their lives away can still be susceptible to vanity. And, some of them must be like, oh, that James Fox guy, I'm a really big fan of his, and like they're, it's not unlikely that there's a celebrity out there that got some form of access to something.
My problem is they couldn't do that to me because I wouldn't take it to my grave.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Because I feel like humanity, so sorry, I stepped away from the mic. I just feel like I wouldn't take it to the grave.
No, yeah.
I would be like, if you're going to show me this, I'm going to talk about it. So don't give me any, because I feel like Why should I be
Yeah.
any better than anybody else? Why should I be shown something that everybody should be shown the same?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't make that. I mean, I'd go and see it, but I would reveal that I saw it.
Yeah, I would write a science fiction book.
That's a
And put it all
read
in
between
there.
the lines.
Yeah. Whether it's, you hear about secret machines. Nick Pope also wrote science fiction, so yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Last question here before we let you go.
Yes,
and this
sir.
one, quite a deep question. So, if you have no answer for it, that's fine.
Okay.
Have you learned anything in your investigations that has influenced your view on the afterlife?
I'm going to take a vowel for 300, please. I'll take a Y. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah. And unfortunately, right now, I am dealing with my older sister, Janine, who I cherish, and she has multiple sclerosis, and she's succumbing to multiple sclerosis at her will. And it would have happened by the time this came out. And we talked recently about, and she's very pragmatic, and she's like, look, man, I've had a great life. Don't pity poor me. I said that when it came to the point where I could no longer take care of myself, I didn't want to be a burden on anybody else. I want to be a burden on my kids. I'm gonna go my way. I'm gonna button up all my affairs, get everything in order, which is what she's done. And then I said, well, would it be okay if I tried to communicate with you on the other side? She's like, of course. And I said, vice versa, if you want to try to communicate with me on the other side. I mean, it's kind of weird having these conversations when someone's still alive, right? But it is what it is, man. It's really depressing and really sad. And I've cried so much in the last couple of weeks. I've been very emotional. There's so many things going on. But she said, well, what's the best evidence that you've heard that there's something on the other side? And I said, well, I work with Leslie Kean, and she wrote a book about surviving death. I think it was called Surviving Death. And then there was a Netflix original made, I think it was a 6-part series or something about it called Surviving Death, based on her book. So I called Leslie, and I've known her for years. I was one of the first people to put her on camera with Tim Coleman for Out of the Blue back in the late 90s. I think it was late 90s probably late 90s, 2000, I don't know, whatever. And I said, Leslie, give me your best shot. How do you know there's something on the other side? And without a moment's hesitation, she's like, well, my partner, lover, died in my arms, a while ago. And, he was there one minute, and then the next minute, his soul, it was just a carcass. He was like a piece of styrofoam. I mean, it was cardboard, and she was like, where did the essence of his soul, what just happened? You know what I mean? Because it's very obvious that he's gone. So she started researching it. And she said that she found a medium. I don't think she'd ever met this medium, and she might have even used an alias. But I think it was a remote thing. Somebody in, it might have been Arizona. And she said, look, James, it was one of two things. Either somehow this medium read my mind, things that I weren't even thinking about, very intimate moments with my lover before that individual died, like details that I've never shared with anybody on the planet, ever. Either she read that in my mind, which I wasn't thinking about, which quite honestly I hadn't thought about in a long time, or she communicated with him on the other side. It was one or the other. It's like, wow, that's pretty compelling.
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
And good luck with everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
James, you're a gentleman. You're always welcome here. And every time you come here, I am just completely flabbergasted by the amount of empathy you have and the amount of care that you take with all of these investigations, everything you do. So I wish you nothing but the best of safety and luck in your continuation of this amazing journey. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and you're the most amazing magician and podcaster out there. One of the top. So I really appreciate you too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.